Oh, you know what I love?
Sports.
I love sports.
Sports. When
It comes to
Texas A&M.
Where are you getting this information?
Let me tell you.
Welcome to TexAgs.
TexAgs Live.
I feel like I should be listening to the theme song from the Jeffersons. You know, we're moving on up.
We will develop men. We will graduate players, and we will win championships on the field.
It's a blessing to be in the position, and we're just thankful to be here. We're thankful to have the opportunity to go out there and play in front of the 12 men.
He is a guy that has gotten better and better and better. He's just got that dog in him.
It's been special. The 12th man this past week was unbelievable.
And this is a real program. It's not fake. This is a real place. And if you want to be really good at football, this is a really good place to be.
You know, if I'm betting on anybody, it's the Aggies.
Cheerio.
I prefer the honey nut variety.
Oh, okay. By the way, I won't do this to you. Have you read the ingredients? It's TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We're in the Rollo Insurance Studio.
And nuts and oats.
If you can't pronounce the word in the ingredient, you shouldn't put it in your body. Let's talk some football.
Let's do.
Always.
There's never a bad time to talk football.
So, easy, hard trivia question.
Okay.
Actually, it's easy. How many SEC teams made the playoffs last year, college football playoffs?
Yeah, well, that would be from the SEC. That would be Tennessee, Texas, which I hate to say they're an SEC, but they are, and Georgia Bulldogs.
Correct. Could have been, should have been 4.
Okay, which was is the team that should have been in? South Carolina?
You could make an argument for South Carolina or Alabama over Indiana. I'm not saying – I think Indiana deserved it based on their record and where they stood in the Big Ten, but I'm just saying Alabama would have beat Indiana.
Probably, but all Alabama had to do was beat Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And they'd have been in. And you could say that about Ole Miss. They should have beaten Kentucky. But at least that was at the midway part of the season.
No doubt.
Alabama lost late to Oklahoma.
Had I had a vote, I would have voted for Indiana because I think the regular season should mean something. Mm-hmm. That being said.
Strength of schedule should mean something.
That as well. And I do think Indiana would have gotten lambasted by Alabama or Ole Miss. Just my opinion.
Or South Carolina. I'm not so sure South Carolina wasn't the
best of the 3?
The team that should have been in.
At least at the end of the year, right? At the end of the year, they certainly were. And even early when they lost a couple games, they got screwed on.
Yeah, what was their glaring loss? Like Alabama had the glaring loss to Oklahoma.
Right.
And Ole Miss had the glaring loss to Kentucky.
I don't remember what their
I know they lost to LSU.
And it was
They
close.
did lose to Alabama.
Yeah.
On the road, I think.
Uh-huh.
Maybe not. But, yeah, they had wins over A&M. They had wins over Clemson. They had some good wins.
So I believe, without seeing records, the SEC will have 4 teams in this year's playoffs, just because I want to believe it. Okay, I don't have any like recipe to make it happen. I'm just telling you, I think 4 teams are going to get in this year.
Well, that's the way Sankey is trying to make
right?
it.
Well, and that's part of my thinking. So,
who are they?
Who are they?
Okay, they're Texas.
Because I did some searching on the internet just to see what people think. Mm-hmm. People still think Georgia's the best team in the SEC. I'm out on Georgia right now. I'm out. That doesn't mean that I won't. That does not mean I don't think they can make the playoffs or will make the playoffs. I don't think they're the best team in the SEC.
I tend to agree with that.
Okay. I'm worried that the best team in the SEC might be Texas.
Might be Texas. They got a lot of holes to fill.
They have
and a lot of guys got to prove themselves.
But I think they're good in the trenches. And
are they?
I think they are.
Because they lost 4 starting offensive linemen and 3 starting defensive linemen.
They did. And we have learned here when you play a lot of young players at that position, I don't know how they did in the portal on getting guys there. But I feel like what I have read about them and what the expectations are, they're going to be fine in the trenches. But it's got to play out because I felt that way about A&M on several occasions, and the young play did not reach what I thought the potential should be. But, okay, so Georgia, I think they're probably a playoff team, but they're not the cream of the crop anymore.
Okay.
Texas, I believe. I don't know what to say about Tennessee because that whole quarterback scenario.
Right.
And, is the running game going to be as good? Is the defense going to be as good? So I don't know. LSU, I know people are very high on them for what they did in the portal. I guess their defense played better at the end.
Did it?
I guess. That's what people say. What I saw was something at Cal Field which was magical.
I think LSU is going to be about the same as they were last year. Maybe even just a win less because See, that's the thing about some teams you look at, and I'm not saying you, I'm saying nationally.
Humans.
And they always look at what they lost and say, okay, they can't be as good. Others, teams, they ignore what they lost.
Yeah.
How do you ignore, well, we've talked about it before,
their line?
Losing 4 stars in the offensive line.
And a tight end.
And a tight end, because they got a good, that 6'7" guy, Travion something. But anyway, one of those guys is being projected as a top 5 pick. And you saw, we talked about this, how average Garrett Nussmeier gets when he's under pressure. So, but maybe they're going to be.
They were 8-4, right? Last year?
Were they 8-4?
Cade, fact check me. I believe they were 8-4.
9-3, something like that.
So maybe they were 9-3. Okay, but I thought they were 8-4.
They lost to USC. They lost to A&M.
They lost too early, didn't
Alabama. Did they play Alabama? I thought they played Alabama.
Yeah, they.
Remember that? Yeah, you're probably right. 8-4 probably right.
So maybe a game less. Now that's. Do you think A&M wins on the road there? As of today, would you guess?
Well, I think you have to say A&M loses in Baton Rouge until they win.
I was right, 8-4.
Okay.
Yeah.
Of course you were.
A few things I know.
But I think they absolutely can win. I think they should have been to that streak at least twice.
But because they are LSU, are worthy of, if they reach their potential, or in the conversation. Fair?
Yeah.
If A&M is in the conversation, I think LSU should absolutely be in the conversation. That's kind of how I look at it.
Okay.
Alabama?
Alabama's definitely. I would, if you're saying 4, I would put Alabama as one of them. Milroe's going to be a bigger loss than people want to say. But
maybe it matches this offense better.
Maybe, yeah. It doesn't necessarily mean he's going to be as good as Milroe, but was it Tyler Simpson or?
Ty Simpson, yeah.
Ty Simpson. I think that, he may be a better fit for what DeBoer wants to do.
Yep.
It's still not as good as, probably won't be as good overall as Milroe, but still better for that offense.
And then there's the other 3 teams that I think are in this conversation.
Okay.
Ole Miss, in the conversation. They have a lot to fill. I get it. But I feel like Lane Kiffin, to me, has proven enough that he's going to have his team win 9 or 10 games at Ole Miss. That's what they're going to do.
Probably, but I would be skeptical this
without
year.
Jackson Dart.
Without Jackson Dart, without the receiver that was so good from Louisiana Tech, Trey Moore, without Walter Nolan and some of the other guys. I mean, they've got a lot to replace. And if you couldn't have gotten it done that last year, why would I think you're going to get it done this year?
Okay. South Carolina.
Yeah, South Carolina. Really,
they lost one of their best defensive players.
Lost a lot of their top defensive players, so they got a lot to replace on defense.
But that defense should be solid.
Sellers,
and they got Lenore Sellers.
I think their defense is a complete unknown because remember, it's not just Kyle Kennard. They had that safety that's with I can't say his name because it's this long. But I mean, he's a projected possible first-round draft choice. Tonka Hemingway and some of the other guys. So.
And then the other team is A&M.
A&M.
Okay. And we had somebody who was trying to disrupt the show, and I kind of enjoy when people disrupt the show because it gives me stuff to talk about, saying that, A&M's ceiling is 9-3. That's not their ceiling. Their ceiling is to me, probably 10-2 is their ceiling.
Okay.
If I were to guess, I mean, ceiling's 12-0, right? Like, they go undefeated. I don't believe they're going to do that. So I'm trying to be a realistic ceiling with that road schedule, even though I have my Notre Dame. There's some stuff I'm going to bring up in the next segment about Notre Dame that I think is interesting. Going to Texas is going to be very difficult, but I'm not going to guarantee a loss in that because you're going on the road to a team that might be in the top 5 at the time. So, but ceiling, and I say all that because of, you can't base one year on the next. I recognize that, OB. You cannot. But I just look at last year, and I'm like, God, just tackle, bro. Just that's the new shirt. Just tackle, bro.
Just tackle, bro.
Yeah, got to have a comma in there.
Got to put the bro on.
Yeah, you have to.
Can you say bruh?
You can say bruh. How do you spell bruh?
I spell it B-R-A, but
I thought you would.
Yeah.
I'm more of a B-R-U-H.
But that's bruh.
Bruh. It's the same thing.
Bruh is not bra. I've ever seen a bruh and a bra? I haven't.
Maybe I should go back on topic. So, if you tackle, the season looks different, right? Tackle against Auburn, tackle against South Carolina, you got your butt kicked in the second half, and there was an emotional letdown with Le'Veon Moss getting hurt. I know I've brought up Marcel was not the reason that they lost some of those games. People have also pointed out Marcel had his worst game against Texas, right?
Okay.
Statistically. And he struggled against Arkansas, a game that they won. I recognize that, right? But
struggled?
Okay. The offense wasn't pretty against Bowling Green and against Arkansas.
Okay. I'm not saying he played well. I thought he was an average quarterback.
Yeah.
Okay.
But he was elite against Florida.
He was, yes, especially for a guy making his first start.
Yes.
And then against LSU.
He was elite.
Talk about
you got to do the double elites.
He was like the best. He was like Dennis Eckersley coming out.
Except against Kirk Gibson.
Yeah, except against Kirk.
Yeah, that was not good.
Well,
I might have cried that night.
You tell me if Richard Zane was here, I'd say, hey, who's the best relief pitcher now? And he would tell me, and then I'd make that.
Yeah, but Eckersley's the one I go with.
Yeah.
Huh.
Sparky Lyle. Oh, Mariano Rivera.
Oh.
He was Mariano Rivera in that.
Yeah. What's his name from the Padres back in the day?
Padres?
Like recently. I'm going to get text from Billy, from Bronny.
Richard's going to text me.
Trevor Hoffman. Thank you. Nobody said it. I got that on my own. Trevor Hoffman.
Okay.
There you go. One of the greatest of all time.
Yeah, I really liked him in Tootsie.
Billy Wagner.
Billy Wagner.
That's my guy.
Yeah.
That guy was good. Still is. Anywho, where were we? We're talking about teams. So if 4 teams get in the SEC, I am not predicting A&M to make the playoffs next year. I'm telling you, that's not my prediction. What I'm saying is, if we're looking at if the SEC is going to get 3 to 4 teams, okay? And I think they're going to get 4. Tennessee is a question mark.
Absolutely.
LSU is a question mark.
Absolutely.
Alabama, not as much of a question mark.
Yeah, I think they'd be a team you'd project in.
Georgia's a question mark, not for the playoffs, for being the best team in the SEC. I think they're probably a playoff team.
I think here's the team that you didn't mention.
Okay.
That I personally have some reservations about, but I can see, and that's Florida.
Yeah.
They might have upset Georgia last year had Lagway not pulled the hamstring.
Maybe. I don't.
That game was going their way.
But I just can't believe. It's like A&M, right? I can't look at Florida's schedule.
I think Florida and A&M, you look at the two. I'm not talking about Florida A&M, the Rattlers. I'm talking about Florida and A&M. I think those two are the real dark horses.
They're at LSU, okay?
Okay.
They're at Miami. They need to split there, okay? If they're a playoff team, they got to split between those 2 games, correct?
I would think so.
Okay.
The LSU
hosting
game
Texas,
needs more. Hosting Texas,
and at A&M, they got to split there too, and that's the first half of their season.
Isn't it funny that A&M has more success against Florida in Gainesville than they do
I know, right?
College Station?
So half that schedule, if they do what I just said, split, all right? They're at what, 4-2?
That would be 4-2.
Okay, Mississippi State win.
Yeah, that's
5-2. Georgia, I'm going to give them a loss.
Okay.
5-3. So at Kentucky win, at Ole Miss, I think they lose.
No,
and then
yeah,
Tennessee, Florida State. I don't think they're a playoff team, but I see what you're saying, right?
Well, if you're going to be a playoff team, typically you're going to have to beat some good teams along the way.
Really good teams in the SEC. So, but I can see an argument for Florida.
And I didn't say, I said.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
I just think that they're one of those dark horse teams, and the big reason is Lagway.
Yeah. So,
if he's healthy.
If 4 teams are going to get in, I'm not saying why A&M is going to get in. I'm saying why not A&M if all these other teams that we've identified don't also have questions. South Carolina might be the best of that almost group, but they've got a lot to overcome. Ole Miss, they got a lot of talent to overcome that has left the program. LSU, I'm still a TBD on Brian Kelly at LSU. I know they got to the SEC championship game his first year, but they also lost 4 games that year.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, and Tennessee, we've talked about it. So, A&M has their questions, no doubt. So does just about everybody else.
Yeah, that's true. There's so many teams with questions, and more than ever before, because not only are you losing guys from completing eligibility and losing guys from going into the draft early, but the transfer portal.
Yep.
So that everything's more of a wild card than ever before, as we all know.
Hey, I shouldn't do this, but I'm just going to spend 1 minute talking about something. All right. There was a thread on TexAgs, kind of disappointed about the amount of sponsors that we have on the show that it takes away from, and I'm like, you know that I actually did research this. Okay. I actually went on the internet, Mr. Google, and I looked this up. You know, every talk show on Fox, on CNN, on ABC, on SportsCenter, all these shows, when they have an hour show, they typically have between 18 and 22 minutes of commercial time. An hour. Okay. TexAgs has 4 commercial breaks at 3 minutes a spot. That's 12. Plus live spots, we have between 7 and 9. Call another 7 to 9 minutes. So we're right in line there. What those shows don't have is the Luchador podcast on top of it. Don't have TexAgs overtime, sometimes twice a week, extended coverage that overcomes that. Don't have all the player interview shows on the side. Don't have Bronny's breakdowns, Nuño's notes. So I guess what I'm saying is, thank you so much for loving our product, that you want more of it, and that's why we give you more in other ways, in more digestible ways on TexAgs.com.
And you should love our sponsors too.
Oh, and I think they do.
Because if not for our
the first segment is typically 22 minutes.
Look at this shirt.
It's a great shirt, Texas A&M. We're 16 minutes in. I have not mentioned one sponsor, but I will.
But you just wore one.
Oh, snaps.
And look where we are.
Oh, we're in the Holistic Planning Cool Zone. Start the clock. Let me know how many seconds. I'm 30 seconds in. All right. And what do they do at Holistic Planning?
Oh, all kinds of cool stuff, because money is cool. You want to keep your money. You want to make money. So they're going to help you invest that money, right?
Love that.
So you can get more money.
Yep.
And then they're going to help you with your taxes.
Love that.
So you can keep more of the money that you got in all this investment.
Yep.
And then they're going to help you learn to put some of that away. So when you're an old geezer like me and about ready to hang it up, you'll have money to do more cool stuff, like travel and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And to be even cooler.
This is what he's talking. This is getting long.
Yeah. If you want to invest in pro sports,
you should do that.
You can do that through them.
Investinprosports.com. This, by the way, we're 52 seconds into the sponsors, is the Go Hour presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations. But the entire enterprise is?
Well, it's brought, you mean TexAgs Live?
Yeah, brought to you by David Gardner Jewelers.
Yeah.
In the Rollo Insurance Studio.
The Rollo Insurance Studio.
And if you want to call the show, 979-693-1150. That's the Buppies Catering Hotline. A minute 22. Boom. Fake time. I'm assuming I'm close. Let's go around the room and say hi to the people. Shall we do that?
We shall.
Let's go behind the glass and what's going to go wrong? Cade Bickham in the house. What's up, Cade?
Colorado Cade.
Well, nothing's gone wrong so far, so that's a good sign for sure. But I'm out here. I'm repping the Rockets today. Big win last night in Game 2 against the Warriors.
Yeah.
So
Jalen Green was huge.
He was amazing. He was fantastic.
And you guys know I'm the only person in I think the history of Houston that likes Draymond Green.
Okay. Yeah.
But I'm glad he got humbled last night.
So the Houston Green outdid the San Francisco Green.
Believe it or not, they're not related.
I believe it. There's a lot of greens out there.
Bickham, any college sports thoughts on your mind?
Well, so you guys were talking about the teams in the SEC getting into the playoffs. I think that personally, I would say that I would only have 2 that I would feel at the moment comfortable just saying yes, they're gonna make the playoffs this season, and it would be Georgia and Texas. I think it's really hard for me to say anything about Tennessee given we don't know what their quarterback situation looks like.
But what do we think about the Georgia quarterback situation?
That's a good point. But I feel like I trust their defense enough to just get it done.
Kirby's reputation. That's what I trust.
That's what you trust.
Right? I trust his reputation.
Because they got some first-round picks tonight, leaving Georgia for defense.
But I trust what Kirby's been able to do. But I have questions about quarterback, right? And by the way, we've had questions about quarterback at Georgia, even when they had a championship-level quarterback in Stetson Bennett.
Yeah, typically it's because their offensive line is elite and they got running game, and they have good receivers. So I don't know how good the receivers are this year.
Me neither. They got Noah Thomas.
Yeah, good, solid receiver.
Yeah, he's solid. Let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Caitlin Torn is on the program. Caitlin, good morning.
Good morning. How are y'all?
We're doing well. What's going on?
Good. We got a text from Chuck Martin, and he said the Texas A&M rugby team is playing in the National Collegiate Sevens tournament in Maryland this Friday and Saturday. All games are televised on YouTube or the rugby channel, and the first game against Brown is at 10:20 on Friday.
You reckon Buzz will make it over to watch that one?
Probably not.
Yeah,
he doesn't want to be seen in public.
Yeah. Somebody might want to talk to him.
God, that would suck. All right. Thank you, Caitlin. Let's do this. Let's hit a break, a 3-minute break with a live spot. So maybe take that back a little bit. And we'll talk football inside of the segment while we eat 1775.
Now, see, that would be amazing.
Right? You're just talking about why A&M can make the playoffs as you eat some pork ribs, some
I love
brisket,
succulent
brisket.
Succulent brisket.
Yeah. Football. See? Keep going.
Yeah, of course, you can get the sausage with jalapeno and cheese all grounded into it.
Football.
Yeah, turkey. Oh, you got that turkey. You already said the pork ribs. You only got pulled pork, too.
Slam dunk.
And then, I mean, you want to talk about the big play, the touchdown, the interception, the
grand slam,
all of that things. That's that queso mac and cheese.
Oh, buddy.
Yeah.
I don't know why I said, oh, buddy.
I don't know, because it's so good. It makes you want to yell out something.
Football.
It gives you like football Tourette's.
Barbecue.
Just start yelling things out.
Yell the website.
Huh?
1775txbbq.com.
It's good.
As a reminder, the final segment of the program is brought to you by Double Dave's. That's at 10:50. But right now, caller number 12, 979-693-1150. We're going to hook you up with your choice of a dozen pepperoni rolls or a large one-topping pizza from Double Dave's. They've been serving Aggie Land since 1984 with your favorite pizza and, of course, those world-famous pepperoni rolls. Reliable in-house delivery, bringing piping hot goodness straight to your door. Just click on doubledaves.com and your favorites are on their way. 22 seconds. Olin Buchanan, David Nuño here on TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio, The Go Hour, presented by The Warehouse at CC Creations. OB, couple things. Okay, CC?
CC.
Creations. So let's talk a little bit about what's happening at Notre Dame for a minute. Okay. So Steve Angeli, he says, I'm going to go join Fran Brown in Syracuse. Okay.
Has he made it official?
I saw that online this morning, yeah. So it looks like he's going to be committing to Syracuse.
So they're going to go with Carr?
Or apparently, Marcus Freeman confirmed this week that Notre Dame is considering moving Tyler Buchner back to quarterback.
I can only hope. I can only hope.
Week 1 or week 3?
Week 3.
Week 3, sorry. Do week 1, 2, and 3. But
that tells me that's how worried they are about their quarterback situation.
I'm just reading into it. But hold on. Everybody hold. I'm just going to say this name. You know where I'm going, right?
Not for sure.
You'll know. Peyton Thorne. I'm just saying it because we think
so has eligibility or
no.
I know what
I'm just saying. Like I spent a year saying that's the worst quarterback performance I've seen. By the way, it was. He was horrible.
He was
at Kyle Field. He was pretty darn good against A&M at Auburn.
He looked like Peyton Manning,
right? So I don't want to say ill. Or I don't want to do any bad juju. I'm just saying if they're considering Tyler Buchner, who's been rugby / quarterback / wide receiver, Alabama.
He lost to Marshall, and he threw as the Notre Dame starting quarterback and threw a couple of, maybe 3 interceptions. So Tyler Buchner sucks as a quarterback. So I think that they're just saying, look, we got to get some depth. And this is our only option, basically. Which I don't think he'll ever see the field unless they have a situation like A&M had a few years ago when Marcel played in the bowl game. But I understand where you're going with Thorne. I wouldn't even say that. I'd say look at the offensive line from Notre Dame last year and all the injuries they had, and we're like, okay, A&M's going to be able to dominate up front, and then they didn't.
They did not.
So A&M lets you off the hook more than any team.
Yeah. So I just look at it as, again, people make these projections for playoff teams and what it this and that, and they look at and I think we are now in a world, and we've been in this world, but every year even more, that predictions don't mean jack because nobody knows rosters. Right. We don't really know rosters anymore. A&M, by the way, I think we kind of know their roster because they've kept intact a big nucleus from last season. There are teams that
the offensive roster looks really good.
Offensive line, right? So there are teams that were super successful last year that lost a lot of players to go to the pros. Okay. And then people who were backups potentially left, right? So Nyblack, for instance, right?
Right.
He would have. I think that they have some issues at tight end. He would have been probably their starting tight end this year, if 1A or 1B. I would assume if they're having questions. He's coming here to be a pass-catching tight end.
Yeah.
And play.
But yeah, you're so right. You just don't know about what teams have anymore. Because a lot of the guys you bring in, like, okay, for A&M, I'm going to say his name wrong, but Deion Hayes.
Yep.
From Colorado. But boy, did he flash in the spring game? Now, again, we all know the backups, but what if A&M had something special there and we don't even know it?
Mm-hmm.
Because he's at Colorado. I know he had some injury issues before, all those things.
What if Marco Jones is Marco Jones?
Had you ever heard of Trey Moore before he actually got to Ole Miss and started?
No.
Not right. So,
actually.
So you knew about him? You were up on Louisiana Tech?
No. I knew about him when he entered the portal because A&M was interested in him, and then I did my research. But no, then he blew up at Ole Miss.
Right. Anyway, the point is that, especially when you get guys from the lesser conferences, you just don't know what they're going to be. I think, and we all think, that Cassius Howell is due a big year. But he came to A&M last year as the one of the nation's leaders in sacks the previous year.
Right.
And he wasn't the same. He didn't make as big an impact at the SEC level, and he had to get bigger and all those things. So you just don't know year to year what you're getting from the lesser conferences.
Now, had A&M been able to scoop Trey Harris a couple years ago, that would have been that would have been the difference.
Hopefully, the Aggies would have he would have been as good.
I'm hoping that Casey Concepcion is that story this year.
Yeah, and I think
Mario Craver.
Mario Craver and Casey Concepcion, both of those guys, as we talked about, I was really impressed with both those guys at the spring game.
Yep.
And again, I believe that's a position both ways, DB and receiver, where you can get a better idea of what they might be than probably any other possession groups in a spring game.
All right, let's hit a break. Stephen McGee on the other side.
Where is he?
He may be on Zoom. He may be in person. I don't know. Do you know? Is he a Zoomer? He's an in-personer.
It looks like he's here. Good.
Yeah. I like how Cade, even though his mic isn't on, is whispering. He doesn't like, he's like,
and Nick would just talk to us.
Yeah, you're allowed to. Hey, today, circle of trust. Tomorrow, no. Today, yes.
He's here.
Thank you. Okay, I appreciate that. No, say it the way you said it earlier. He's here. He's here. It's fine. Ground shuttle time. Whenever we go to George Bush and we have to drive, do we not complain every time?
Yeah, well, but you like to complain.
But this is true. So do you. By the way. If we're going to call it.
I'm a grouch.
But the traffic, the parking, 18 minutes to get to.
You just never know if you're going to get a parking space anymore.
You may not. We paid for a spot one time.
And they didn't.
They didn't honor it.
Yeah, they didn't honor our
That's
reservation.
a true story. That's not like a spot football. Like that actually happened.
It did.
So that's why ground shuttle's the way to go, guys. Ground shuttle's going to take you to Bush. They do all the driving. You don't have to worry about parking. You don't have to worry about anything. What you worry about is taking a nap, reading emails, just relaxing, whatever you want to do. Get ready for your next project. Ground shuttle does all the driving. You park at Castelo de Brazil. They'll take you there, and they've got shuttle times they got 9 shuttle times on weekdays, every hour and a half, and 5 shuttle times on the weekends, every 2.5 hours. They also have charter service. It's the way to go if you want to go out and have a good old time somewhere in Texas and have them do the charter service, or you try to get to Bush, they'll drive for you. The website, groundshuttle.com. That website again, groundshuttle.com. TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio Go Hour, presented by The Warehouse at CC Creations. Our QB1, Stephen McGee, with us here from Paragon Financial. Stephen, good morning, sir.
Morning.
How are you?
Good. You got a big hair on your watch this morning, bud.
Oh, God.
Things that don't happen to me.
From grappling?
From grappling.
No, I didn't go to grappling yesterday. How are you, buddy?
We're great. Houston Rockets got a win. Talking country music. Learned something new this morning.
What did you learn new?
That what's her name won the country music award.
Oh, Beyonce.
Beyonce.
Yeah.
But I mean, like that's wild to me. That's still blowing my mind that she. I've not heard the song either. Or maybe I've heard it. And
the main song.
It was on the pop station.
Yeah, you know I'm a big country music
station.
fan, and I just would say that
taints it.
Wearing a cowboy hat in a video does not make it country music.
Thank you.
So if I put a cowboy hat on, you wouldn't think I was a cowboy?
On that snapshot.
I would think you were a gaucho.
Gotcha.
There you go. Nice. Nice.
Or a vaquero.
You wore the snap shirt with the J's. My man.
Yeah, but these J's are not as clean as I would like. I got some J's yesterday, too.
You did?
Billy and I went shopping at Academy Sports and Outdoors. Academy. And I got me some Luka J's.
Luka J's?
Yeah.
Like Luka the
Luka
basketball
Doncic,
player?
yeah. He's got
Are you
some
going to
J's.
trade him?
You got him, huh?
Are you going to trade them?
No. I am definitely not Nico Harrison.
Are they purple?
They are, from far away, it looks maroon, but it was more red. It was red and black. It's more of the Bulls color for MJ, but they're pretty nice. I should have worn them today. Spring game, heard you and Seth. How was that?
You know, that is the most difficult thing to do because the roster is so deep. You know, normal game, you've got 22 guys more or less that you're focused on. And there's always number changes that go on. So you're getting the text like, hey, so-and-so's wearing this one. And it's hard. You don't have replay screens up there. You can't really see who's who.
Yeah.
All in all, it was a blast, though. And I think the key takeaway I came from was, and again, spring games, what do you really know? OB would tell you that, the first person. And the advantage is normally to the defense. I would totally agree, especially whenever you're drafting teams and you have mixed match offensive lines, et cetera. But I came away with some defense looked pretty good, man.
Yeah.
Back end of our defense, I thought they really competed well. And, Will Lee, of course, I think we all know he's a good football player. Cassius Howe, I think, showed a lot of bright spots. And I think he's the guy that you look for off the edge. But then you had some other names that popped up. And what's our guy's name?
Marco Jones?
Yeah, Marco Jones played well. Jordan Lockhart at linebacker.
He played really well.
He made some heck of plays, right?
Had that nice interception.
Yeah, that we're still looking for his name. I'll never forget Jordan Lockhart now, but
on the broadcast, you're like,
who is this guy? And then he made this he batted down a ball on a triple seam. They're trying to hit a vertical.
I thought the young linebackers looked really good throughout the whole game.
Yeah, they ran well, played well.
Of course, the offensive line blocking them wasn't starters and things like that. So you got to take it,
All right. So what did you make out of what you saw from Marcel?
Look, again, it's hard on these guys. To OB's point he just made, it's like, you get these mixed match offensive lines. They're getting a lot of quick pressure, and it makes life miserable for those guys. And they're young. I mean, but Marcel, look, the interception was tough, but I'm not going to take anything away from it. I'm hopeful that he's a lot better.
Casey Concepcion, who had a really nice day, but if he had one play where he doesn't drop it as he's falling down, Marcel throws for about 220 yards.
Yeah, and they look good on some drives. The back shoulder, the balls. We had some receivers make some really good catches, and
I thought the thing you would have noticed is how, in a game like that, the quarterback is never supposed to be touched, and how many times they got knocked down.
Which I like. Well, I want to bump them around. Those young guys especially. I mean, like Marcel, don't hit him.
I didn't expect for Marcel to be Peyton Manning after just a few months. And if you take away the thing that he is great at, which is running, right? He ran, but once you touched him, that was it, right? Like, it's hard to really gauge his growth.
That's right. I mean, the whistle sacks are going to kill an athletic quarterback in the spring game. That's not fair. I mean, there's a couple times when you're like, that kid ain't making a tackle. We all know that. That's what Marcel does so well. I think if you said, hey, well, what would it have taken for me to feel really good about Marcel coming out of the spring game? And I would have said just consistency offensively.
Yep.
I think what plagued our offense last year was so many 3-and-outs, and it's like, oh, touchdown. 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, touchdown. And I felt like they kept putting Marcel back in the second half instead of playing the young guys, trying to leave him with a really good positive drive to end the game with, and it just never really happened. I mean, he had the big plays, the back shoulders on the run game, where they're, hey, loading up the box, single high defense, boom, man-to-man outside, suppress. We're throwing the fade ball. Threw a beautiful back shoulder ball. I mean, it was the best ball of the game, hands down. But to be great, it's about consistency.
Yep.
And the interception, you're like, gosh, dang it, man, you're late. You're throwing it from the wide hash of the field. That ball's got to be outside on the sideline. Those type of things are going to really plague and kill this offense from the quarterback position. Now, to OB's point, it's the best one yet. What is the strength of this offense that we feel like going in day one? Run the ball on that offensive line, right? Mm-hmm. And guess who didn't play? That offensive line together. Right. So, I mean, what do we really know? The advantage is the defense.
We're going to find out how good the defense is, and we won't know probably until the third game.
Yep.
And if they're good, I think A&M in 2025 will be as good as the defense.
Yeah. Well, amen to that.
Because I think they're going to score. I think they're going to score 30 to 35 points a game.
But this team,
average, I should say.
It reminds me a lot of. I think we talked about it last week. The 2020 team when I think we went 9-1. Kellen Mond, quarterback, Orange Bowl.
Yep.
No one had high expectations for that offensive line really going into that year. In fact, I think Josh Henson was much maligned.
Second year.
Yeah, going into second year. They had almost flirted with bringing in another coach to coach O-line. He turned it down. Josh Henson stays, and it ended up being one of the best offensive line performances that I can recall in some time. And there weren't any superstars up front. There were some good players up front. I don't think that you would say that there was the Johnny Manziel talent, right, with like 4 first-round picks.
No.
And so they did a phenomenal job. A lot of veteran guys coming back. That's what reminds me of this offensive line, that veteran, the ability for guys to pass off, twist up front, and pick up pressures.
But with that run game, with that offensive line, you're going to have to be able to hit the long ball, keep defenses honest.
Yeah, you do. Well, not just the long ball, it's the intermediate stuff. Yeah. But there were so many easy throws that we missed. You're like, hey, it's a pitch and catch. It's a 6-yard hitch route. Why are we off?
Right.
Those are the plays that you have to make in your sleep that we miss too often. And those can be disappointing, and those are drive killers.
I hate to say this because it sounds like I'm trying to campaign for the quarterbacks. Mm-hmm. But once again, I know it's spring and they can't get hit, but consistently, more often than not, when they're passing, you're right there on them as a defensive back. I mean, they were, as a defensive lineman, they were always, no matter who the quarterback was, passing from a cramped pocket.
Yeah, that's 100% true, and that makes life miserable. And you saw that come to fruition in the game, but that's also real life. Like the NFL, when you watch it from the TV, you think the pockets are always clean until you get out there, and there's that D tackle gets pushed right there in your lap, and it's always, that's why these drills, you watch these quarterback guys now, they're always making these guys, instead of just, hey, run a 5-step drop, 1 hitch, and throw it, like on routes on air when you're working with your wide receivers. They're like, hey, they naturally have guys that push and fall into your lap to make you feel a little bit uncomfortable. You have to throw it from this angle, and you have to throw it off your back foot a little bit. So,
but I think it was different because, that's not
It was
Reed
different.
Adams, and it's not Basantis.
It was.
He was out there for just a handful of plays.
I agree with you on that one.
Soon.
But you still want to see them make the easy plays.
Yep.
And I thought that we missed a lot. I think if Mike Elko sat here, he would say, hey, we hit some really big ones. I thought they made some pretty good decisions, but we've got to make the layups, right? We got to make the easy ones. I think that we kind of put ourselves behind the chains unnecessarily a couple times.
Okay, I came away thinking I was feeling, and we talked about this, really, really good. And you can please feel free to argue with me because you've never shied away before. I came away thinking, all right, they really got something here with 3 guys on offense. I was really impressed with Casey Concepcion, Mario Craver, and Nate Bokacher. All 3 of those guys, I'm like, they're going to be better because of those guys.
I totally agree with you on that one. I felt like there was some bursts at wide receiver that we hadn't seen. They made some competitive catches, some really good catches. Like I remember the dig route for Casey Concepcion. There's a tight window, like down. Yeah. I feel a lot better about wide receivers than I did going into the spring game. You finally get to see them. You're like, man, You can see there's some burst there. Tight ends, I thought, they looked pretty good. The young guy, what's his name, 21,
Kennedy Armstrong.
I'm not saying he's going to be a game changer for us offensively, but I think he showed some burst. It's a difficult position to get out there early. But look, I mean, this offense is going to hinge, obviously, on good decision-making at the quarterback position and then the health of Le'Veon Moss. I mean, we're a completely different offense. If that guy's healthy and full go, like he was last year until he got hurt, we are a different machine.
He's really good.
He's really good.
He's really good.
That dude is
the South Carolina game.
Does anybody in the nation, and I don't expect you to know any, but I'm just, can you imagine that anybody in the nation has a better, maybe it's good, but a better running back room than A&M will with a healthy Le'Veon Moss, a healthy Reuben Owens. We saw
Amari Daniels.
Amari Daniels is pretty, and EJ, and then some freshmen that look pretty good.
Yeah, and, oh, by the way, there's this other little wild card that gets added to that and saying, like, hey, it's not just that they're good running backs, but you have a quarterback
who can run.
That can run as well.
Right.
And so that added element makes the running backs even better because now they're like, do we dive on the back? And then now he keeps it.
I know you can't do this, but I maintain if Le'Veon doesn't get hurt, this team's in the SEC championship game. That seems simple to say, but I think they win the Auburn game.
All they had to do was beat Auburn, right?
The South Carolina game, maybe they still lose that one. It's played differently. It's played differently.
He got hurt on a 20-yard game.
He got hurt on the second drive or the first drive, second drive, I think. So that game is played different. The whole season changed when he went out.
I totally agree with you on that one. That dude's a dog, man.
He's a big dog.
He's a big dog. He can bite.
Yeah, let's hit a break here. We'll come back. A little buy-sell lease. Right now, Brazos Running Company, located at Century Square. They are Aggie-owned and operated. They are a specialty running store that'll help you find all the top brands that you're looking for. Brooks, On, Hoka, New Balance, you name it. They've got all the top shoes, and they're going to make sure that you are put in the right shoe. They'll put you through, they'll test your gait, see where you are, and they'll make sure that if you're a heel striker or toe striker, whatever it may be, they find you the right shoe for you. They are also the local retailer for Viore. They've got Duck Camp outdoor apparel. They've got Turtle Box speakers, and they got Stanley Cups. Check it out, the Brazos Running Company, located at Century Square below the Star Cinema Grill in College Station. It's the Brazos Running Company.
What's up, TexAgs? This commercial break is brought to you by my good friends over at Aggieland Chevrolet, the official automotive sponsor of TexAgs.com and me, Billy Lucci. Greg Gunn is the proud owner of Aggieland Chevrolet and invites you to visit the dealership to experience true Aggie hospitality. From their friendly staff to the experienced service team, Aggieland Chevrolet is TexAgs approved. Check out the dealership off of Highway 6 in Bryan or go to AggielandChevrolet.com and tell them Billy Lucci sent you by.
TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio, Go Hour, presented by The Warehouse at CC Creations. Stephen McGee still with us. Buy, sell, lease time. I'm going to give you 3 teams. Who's going to have the better year, okay? Buy, sell, lease. LSU, South Carolina, Florida.
Ooh, that's a hard one, man. You really came with it. You can make a case for all of them.
You need schedules?
Kind of. I mean,
we might have those
I
schedules.
I want to dive into the weeds. I'll just take it from a high level, and I'll let OB dive into the weeds because he'll know all that stuff.
I will buy LSU.
Dadgummit.
They get Florida in Baton Rouge, if I'm not mistaken.
By the way, they open up at Clemson. They have lost, I think, is it 3 straight?
Yeah, they're going to lose that one.
Okay.
I think.
At Ole Miss, at Oklahoma.
Yeah,
at Alabama.
I'm gonna buy LSU with the best record of those 3. I am going to.
I know where you're going. I know who you're going to lease.
I am going to lease
South Carolina. Watch, it's coming. It's coming. South Carolina. I know. How you think.
No, actually, I think I'm going to lease.
I guess I'm wrong.
Florida.
Okay.
And I'm going to sell South Carolina. The reason is, as good as Lenore Sellers is, and he's really good. The reason that they were as good as they were last year was their defense.
Yes.
And that defensive line has one stud coming back. And again, a lot of losses in their secondary. Losing 4 starters, I think it is, on their offensive line.
Yep.
Not that they were that good anyway, except against A&M. And even Rocket Sanders is gone.
Mm-hmm.
So my guess is LSU to buy, Florida to lease, South Carolina to sell.
And they have some tough schedules too, don't they? But South Carolina has the easiest start, it looks like, at least the first 5 comparative. I'll say this. I'll buy
South
LSU.
Carolina plays LSU, do they not? So LSU's going to play both of those teams.
Mm-hmm. That's what it looks like.
And both games are in Baton Rouge?
Put the South Carolina schedule back up, Kate, for me, please. 9 minutes. There we go. So
yeah, at LSU.
Yeah.
Look at you, man. You're a Mensa child, aren't you?
No, I'm not. That's Matthew Dawson.
Well, that is Dawson, yeah. But he's probably like your unknown son.
See, I would buy LSU.
I don't think Susie would like that very much.
I would lease South Carolina, and I'm selling Florida because I think DJ Lagway's really good, but he hasn't had a spring, and they got a ridiculous schedule.
If he's not healthy, I'm assuming everybody's healthy.
Sure,
I'm buying LSU. I like I'm going to buy the program that has the most veteran quarterback, the most proven commodity, and I think he's got 4 or 5 wide receivers that run 4-3. I think that they're set to put up numbers offensively. The question is, what do they have defensively?
Who's going to block for him?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's true. He does. He's like Quinn Ewers. He turns it over a little bit. That's his Achilles heel, right?
When he feels pressure.
But I will lease South Carolina. That's a hard one, man. I'll lease Florida. I like the quarterback. I think he can do some really good things, even though I didn't like him when he played us. I thought he looked really bad. But he's young. And the dude's talented. And I think they have some cats at Florida. I think they're going to have surprise some people. So, still in South Carolina.
Thank you very much, Obi. Thank you, buddy. When we come back, Michael Earley, Ricardo Zane, that and more. It's TexAgs Live. And we're back, TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studios. Time for our weekly conversation with Michael Earley, brought to you by Duck Camp. At Duck Camp, we know the best moments happen out there on the boat, casting a line, hauling the catch of the day. Be sure to check out the Duck Camp new spring hats like the fan favorite crawfish hat and the redfish hat at duckcamp.com. And here he is. We've got Michael Earley with us. Hello, Coach.
Hello. Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Richard Zane and Ryan Brauninger. So I got to ask you about it right out the gates. The most anticipated series of the year. Just how do you feel the way the team is playing heading into it?
I feel great. I feel great with where we're at. And, I understand Texas and the rivalry, which is super important to a lot of people. And, it's important to us too. But at the same time, we're playing these road games just like we've played the last couple of road games. And we feel like we're pretty battle tested. And, how we've been playing, especially on the road headed into this, feel good about it. But at the same time, you're only as good as the next one, so we got to continue to play great baseball.
We've had a bunch of the guys in this week, and they talk about, it's one of the key elements of baseball. You got to play with emotion, but you can't be emotional. There's going to be a lot of emotional people walking into the stadium. How do you kind of separate what's going on in the stands to what's going on in your dugout?
Yeah, I think it starts with the leaders on our team. It starts with me and the coaching staff and how we act and how we conduct ourselves. And to us, it's really just business as usual. Like, I don't I want to win this game tomorrow as bad as I wanted to win the game we just had on Tuesday. So our day-to-day and our preparation, our routine, it won't change. And those are the things you have to fall back on, specifically when there's, SEC road games that are really, really important.
You've obviously had some experience in this rivalry and some experience at that ballpark in Austin. How do you think those experiences have prepared you for now being in the seat you're in as the head coach going into the Lone Star Show?
I think any time you play in big games or big atmospheres or anything, it just, puts another notch on your belt on like just that comfort level. And more so for the team, like I'm not out there playing, so I get to enjoy watching these guys play. So for these guys to have that experience, some have played there, and getting to play at a place like Arkansas, I think really hardens you. Like that is like a really, really tough place to play. Like TV doesn't do it justice. So I think those guys being able to get experience that right before, I think, you couldn't have asked for a better preparation.
It was a midweek game against the same team that you talked about in your post game. They're struggling, but the kids are playing hard over there. Were you pleased with how your guys kind of bounced back? You had an emotional series win in Arkansas. Then you had to sit around for a few days.
Yeah.
Because you played on Friday. How were you with the response of your club, how they played on Tuesday?
I thought it was really mature. Because, like you said, Sam, those kids, they're struggling this year, but they got some tough kids over there that really, really play hard, and they can beat you, and especially in baseball. And you get a day off, and then Easter, kids are traveling all over the state. I was really just proud of how mature they were, how great they were at practice on Monday, all the things they do leading up to it, because a game like that sandwiched in between Arkansas and Texas, you never know. And, anyone can beat anyone. So I was just really proud about the professionalism and how they came in and took care of business.
Sticking with the Tuesday game and Blake Bender up 2 home runs, we asked about him post-game on Tuesday, but what has he been able to do to this entire lineup, being able to get hot? What has he provided to the club?
Yeah, the power is real. It's not just the power; it's the good at bats and the timely hitting. And some of the at bats that I've really liked is when he's got down in the count and got the count back to even or to full, and then had a chance to either to do something, and just seeing pitches. And really, that guy just takes to coaching. He's done a really good job. He's had some struggles this year, just like anyone else. But credit to him for staying with it. Like, has really, really stayed with it even when he wasn't playing.
When it comes to the mechanical adjustments he's had to make, how difficult is it for a player to implement those in the middle of the season like he has?
Very, very difficult. Even though we're trying to simplify him, you're asking him to do something he's never done before in his life. And it started at Tuesday at Sam, made an adjustment, but it's like we think it can be better. And to ask him to make another one right before the weekend and for him to be able to do it. And I think it is a credit to his buy-in. I think I said the other day after the game, if we asked Blake to hit left-handed, he would do it. So it's just his buy-in and his work ethic, and he's got some real skills. It's just how do we get him in a spot to make those skills more consistent? And I think we're on to something with what he's doing right now.
With Caden Sorrell, managing the workload, how did he feel? What were y'all's conversations like? He came in here yesterday and said that he was really itching to play, and he would go to you, he's like, Coach, I'm ready, and you were like being overly cautious with it, and like you said you were. But how do you feel like he managed being out in the field, and then how does he feel now, and do you anticipate him playing more in the outfield?
Yeah, I do. It's funny. I think I said it the other day too, but I wanted to see him run around the outfield before the game in Arkansas. And the first ball hit is like a liner over his head. He turns, runs, jumps. I like hold my breath, and he catches it. Everything's fine. I went and ripped the lineup after that. He probably could have played outfield, I'd say maybe a week and a half before we actually played him, and then how the matchup worked out. So you can see how important the guy is to our team. He's fully capable of playing, and we'll just see how it goes. I'd definitely like to get him out there to do some different things in that DH spot. But he's been great, man. I mean, what a player. What a player. Like, he's everything we thought he would be. It stinks we had to wait for it, but getting him back out on defense is big too, because I dropped my mic. I'm sure you remember how good of an outfielder that guy is. Yeah. Like, it's not just a hitter. Like, that guy was a really, really good outfielder. Like, talk about some big-time catches. So just having him back in general, we still want to stay cautious, but at some point we're getting to the point where it's time to play.
I also had him in here with Gavin Grahovic, and I was talking to Gavin about just, every time they show the dugout, it sucks to see Gavin have to be in there and be a spectator. How do you think he's handled this? Obviously, for the competitive side, it's eating him alive, but how has he been in the clubhouse and in the dugout?
He's been great, and I love seeing him and hate seeing him every single day. So he's been awesome. It's been tough on him, and I think, and what I told him before, when he made this decision, the message was like, this is probably terrible to you, but you're going to grow so much from it. And you get a chance to sit back and watch baseball and not have to worry about playing, you learn so much about the game. You learn so much mentally. You get to watch other guys. So it won't be as good as him playing this year and getting the playing experience, but that guy can play. Now he's getting some experience. And, he grew up son of a coach, so he actually brings some good insight. Like, he'll say some stuff during the game or at practice. So it just, a guy like that, his leadership skills and having him around is a close second to him actually being on the field.
Terrence Keel, the second, saw him get his first collegiate career home run on Tuesday night. How special was that moment? And then also, with a true freshman like that going into a place like Austin this weekend, how much of the guys around him really tried to coach him up and try to make sure he sticks within that mature approach against Texas? Yeah,
TK, he'll be fine. He won't be fazed by the moment, as he's seen all year. And it was really, you knew the home run was coming for him just because in batting practice he's really good at hitting low line drives the other way. They throw it inside. He's got that pull side loft. So I think more are coming. I mean, it's just about him sticking within his game and knowing who he is, and he's done that. And he's had some just typical lapses as a freshman, any player would have, but he continues to bring good at bats. I thought Arkansas the other day was great because he had a tough first couple games. He starts off game 3 with a strikeout, but one of the bigger hits he got was that ground ball up the middle with 2 outs to allow Jace to hit the home run to give us some. So he's awesome, man. He's awesome, and he won't be fazed by anything this weekend.
I know that life in the SEC, you expect these matchups, right? Yeah. Tennessee, Arkansas, now on the road at Texas. What does Texas specifically do that makes them so good?
They're a pretty sound ball club. I mean, they pitch, they hit. They do a lot of things right, man. They throw strikes. They don't walk people. I think we're real similar if you look at statistics from each side of the ball. I mean, we know how they're going to play. I know their brand of baseball and what they're trying to do. And in baseball, that means absolutely nothing. It's not like football where you can scheme. Right. Like, they're going to play clean baseball. They play good defense. They're a really good baseball team. And we're going to have our hands full, especially on the road. They got some real talent in the batter's box, like some guys that are some professional baseball players, and they got the same thing on the mound. So they're just like every other SEC team. You're not going to have more talent than them. You just got to go out and play better baseball.
And on your side with the pitching staff, again, I thought Ryan Brauninger took a step forward in terms of the overall stuff. And you guys are looking at the analytics, and I think you said, like, yeah, it was better again.
Yeah.
But was there ever any thought about changing that deal up? To me, he's your guy in game 1 no matter what.
Yeah, no, and at this point, there's no thought of doing that. It's 3-game series. Like, we're playing 3 games like they're their own game, and they all are mapped out, and how our bullpen is and how things have been rolling, and most importantly, my belief in Ryan Brauninger and the directions I think and he's taken, because he was better. He was better last. Now, is it better to his standards? No, because one pitch got away from him and the guy hit a home run, so that's not up to his standards. But in my eyes, that ball's caught in left field. Who knows what the next batter does, and it changes the whole narrative. Who knows what happens if a ball doesn't hit off Jace LaVallette's glove and go over the fence, or if I take him out of the game and that guy, you know what I'm saying? Like,
well, remember, you go back to that SEC tournament where Jordan Thompson with Micah Dallas was pitching.
First pitch of the game.
First pitch of the game, Wyatt
Langford left center. Bam.
And Jordan Thompson makes an incredible catch.
Yeah.
And from that point on, Micah Dallas just started rolling.
Right. So he's trending in the right direction, and our belief in him and his ability, I want him to pitch game one, always.
Talking to Michael Earley here on TexAgs Live. Coach, let's talk about the calluses this team has gone through, but you specifically. You talked about how going through some of these journeys has made them better. How about you? How have you kind of evolved because of them?
Yeah, I mean, anything that's tough in life, in sports, whether it's self-inflicted or not, just hardens you. You got a choice to make, right? You can run from it, or you can run right to it, and that's my personality and always will be. Whenever things are tough, you hate when it's tough, right? Like it feels good when it's good. But I think there's always like a small part of me, and always has been, when things are tough or not going right, there's like this small, dark place that I kind of like it. Like I kind of like it because it's like, okay, what do we got to do? And I've said this before, I've never considered myself a baseball coach. Like I'm a problem solver. Like how do we fix this problem, solve it, keep it, and then move on. So it's been good, right? Like I've learned a lot. I think our team's learned a lot about ourselves and how we need to do things, but just really falling back on things you believe in and actually still believing in them when things aren't going right while making adjustments. Just as core principles and things I believe in the game, you have to really double down if you really believe on them, and I'm glad we have.
It goes back to, like, every day to me, a player and a team needs its vitamins and its medicine. Like how have you gone through the year, like, maintained them, given them their vitamins, which is what you do good, and, dose that with their medicine that they need, what you need to get better at?
Vitamins, medicine, and sometimes I say we got to go open heart surgery because this stuff ain't working. Yeah, that's a good point. So it's just like our hitting routine. Like we weren't hitting great, clearly. We kept our same routine. Now what we added, on Mondays we've been, since Vanderbilt, we haven't stopped. Like we have these 2 strike drills we do. And it's not a drill, it's more of a mindset. And just adding that and keeping it. Even when we've been doing well, we haven't stopped with the ground ball work, the things we did to fix that. Now we had to tone it down a little bit because we're borderline hurting guys, so they weren't going to be available to play in the game. But we kept doing it. So it's about maintaining your core beliefs, your vitamins, and then adding stuff in when you needed it, and then dosing it as you see fit. But I think the key thing when you make adjustments, it's not just a one-time fix. Like when the defense got better, I didn't want it to get bad again,
right,
and then have to make it better again. Yes. Same thing with the hitting. You want to keep those and then keep moving on.
It's such an underrated part, or probably an under-discussed part of being a head baseball coach, is practice structure and getting guys what they need, maintaining confidence, and then when you're going through those doldrums, coach, the daily practice plan that you build out, that agenda is massively important to getting your season turned around, and you have to balance that every day. A lot of people don't understand that.
Yeah, you got to balance with health. You got to balance where they're at mentally. It's like if you have a guy struggling hitting sliders, left on left sliders. You got to make a choice, right, between how mentally that guy is and what he needs. Like, do I really want to take him in on this machine so he gets carved on these sliders? What I'm saying? So it just depends on your guys, the health, the mentality, but the tricky part is you can't just coach one player. You have to coach a team. And I'm super lucky to have the veteran leadership that I do, like guys like Wyatt Hensler and Hayden Schott, where they're going to do they might not like a drill but you would never know it. And what's that do? The other guys feed off it. Mm-hmm. It's similar last year with Braden Montgomery. You bring in a guy like that he's a star, but he was really bought into what we were doing, and all the guys were like, and that just comes with bringing in quality people into your program.
Funny you mentioned the Penn guy and the Columbia guy, since it's such a huge rivalry.
They were lobbying yesterday. It was it was pretty funny. It's everyone I think on outside our walls is definitely talking about A&M Texas, but inside out they're talking about Penn and Columbia. So that's where those guys
have to get Coach Elko to weigh in.
They're keeping their mind off it. But I said I'd have my decision for him by the end of the day.
Coach Earley, we appreciate you coming in, sir. Thank you very
guys.
much. Appreciate it. Michael Earley here on TexAgs Live. All right, we'll hit a break. We'll come back with Around the SEC, then Aaron Torres. Right now, we're talking about Rollo Insurance. The difference is real. They're an independent insurance company built around educating you on exactly what you're paying for, doing the shopping for you so that you can accomplish all of your insurance goals. They got 60 offices in the great state of Texas, but their headquarters is right here on Highway 6 in College Station. You can call them up, 888-44-ROLLO, or go to rolloinsurance.com/TexAgs. Whatever insurance situation you may be in, you got kids who are about to start driving, call them up. You've got farm insurance needs, you got homeowners insurance needs, let Rollo Insurance and their great team take care of you. 888-44-ROLLO or rolloinsurance.com/TexAgs. It's Rollo Insurance. It is TexAgs Live. We are still presented by David Gardner's Jewelers in the Rollo Insurance Studio, hour number 2 of the program. My thanks to Michael Earley for coming into studio. I know it's busy with the biggest anticipated game of the series of the season, right? Like we've been talking about this since June. It's been the main topic when talking about baseball, and I expect a rowdy crowd, both sides, for Texas and for Texas A&M. But right now, let's get into Around the SEC, brought it to you by Jack Sir. And if you are looking to build your dream home on your lot, let the Jack Sir Group help you navigate the entire project from start to finish, making sure your home is perfectly suited for your lifestyle, preference, and budget to turn your dream home into a reality. Visit them at jaxsir.com. That's Jack Sir, the Jack Sir Group. And it looks like Cade Bickham today doing a little around the SEC. Mr. Bickham, what do you got for us?
Well, let me start with some Aggie men's golf, or some just men's golf in general. SEC men's golf tournament has started yesterday. Auburn is leading after day 1. They shot a 16 under as a team. It says it was the second lowest round in SEC championship history, lowest openings round score ever. A&M and LSU are tied in second right now at 9 under. And Michael Heidelbaugh, an Aggie, he shot a 9 under himself yesterday, so that was the lowest individual first round score.
All right, Michael Heidelbaugh.
Shifting gears here, let's see. We'll talk some ranked baseball and ranked softball matchups this weekend. Got a couple of ranked baseball matchups. 14 Oklahoma at number 10 Georgia, number 9 Vanderbilt at number 23 Ole Miss, and then number 6 Tennessee at number 7 LSU, and then obviously the big rivalry one, the unranked Aggies heading to Austin to play the number 1 Texas Longhorns.
By the way, let me jump in there for a moment. I didn't ask Coach Earley about it. We didn't because, I mean, it's more from an A&M perspective, that interview. But Kirk Bohls earlier today, and this was kind of expected, did tweet out that Jared Spencer's been ruled out for the upcoming A&M series with a shoulder injury that continues to be evaluated, a source tells them. So, and I think it doesn't take a brainiac to figure that out. Kate, I'm sure you watched that highlight when he left the game. When you leave so early with that kind of wincing, it's usually an indication of something pretty severe. And so he is out for this weekend for sure.
That's a pretty big blow for them, but I mean, it plays to the Aggies' favor. So
well, I mean, look,
which is
I don't wish for injuries to anybody, but A&M's had a lot of injuries, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, very true.
So
especially in the football
and people,
realm.
I have to bring up the injuries when I have conversations with non-A&M people. Like, hey, by the way, remember you lost Gavin Grahovic. Remember Josh Stewart. Like, remember we didn't have Caden Sorrell for a huge portion of this season, and when he did come back, look what the record is. So I have to remind people of that, but people don't care. They care about the results. So Texas, you'll have to deal with that, just like we have to deal with a lot of our own issues. Continue on, Mr. Bickham.
Very true. Moving on to softball, ranked softball matchups this weekend. It's a pretty loaded weekend. Number 1 Tennessee at number 20 Ole Miss. Number 9 Arkansas is coming to College Station to play the number 2 ranked Aggies. Big matchup, little Red River rivalry. Number 3 Texas at number 4 Oklahoma.
Wow! Throw out the record
huge.
books.
That is going to be huge. Sorry. And then number 6 Florida at number 10 LSU.
Yeah, but I like the one here because I'm a big Trisha Ford fan. I'm a big fan of that team.
That team's very good. And
they're in the middle. Like it's just like I talked to her yesterday about like they still got a little bit to do this season before the SECs. And, of course, before the postseason. But, goodness, like, all the sports that we talk about, it's a gauntlet of top 10 teams in the country that all belong to the SEC, like 7, 8, 6 teams, whatever it may be. And softball's no different. Anything else, Cade?
Yes, well, some SEC women's golf. But before that, and just a quick note on Trisha Ford's team. Last I checked, they have 4 bats in the lineup with that have an OPS over 1,000. So that's the on-base plus slugging. That's pretty fantastic. But finally, with some women's golf, 12 SEC teams have been selected to the D1 women's golf tournament.
The 4th seed, the 4th seed is Texas A&M.
Yes. So it's in the
Lubbock.
In the Lubbock regional. Yes, there's 3 SEC teams in that Lubbock regional. Texas is the 1, A&M is the 4, Tennessee is the 6. and then the other teams that have made it, Charlottesville Regional, South Carolina is the 1, Ole Miss is the 3, Florida is the 4, Columbus Regional, Arkansas is the 1, LSU is the 2, Gold Canyon Regional, Auburn's the 3, Mississippi State's the 4, the Lexington Regional, Vanderbilt's the 4, and then the Norman Regional, Oklahoma hosting a regional, but are the 6th seed in their own in the regional that they're hosting. Interesting.
That is interesting, Cade. Thanks very much, buddy. Appreciate you. All right, let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Caitlin Torrens got some other tidbits to get into.
Yes, the Texas A&M 2026 football recruiting class is officially contending for a #1 ranked cycle by the end of the year after flipping 4-star cornerback Victor Singleton, who was previously committed to Illinois. Yes, and the Aggies 2026 class rose to 4th in the 247 sports class ranking and 6th in On3's ranking. Texas A&M is the #2 ranked 2026 class in the SEC behind #1 LSU.
Yeah, look, they're ahead of schedule. Jason Howell was on the program yesterday. They're ahead of schedule, but none of it matters until December. So just keep on this trajectory, win football games, and it's going to be exactly that. It'll be a top 5 class if they just continue what they're doing at this same rate, right? And they still got a ways to go, but making sure the product on the field matches the vision that these kids have. What else, Caitlin?
Chris Phillips released his most recent SEC baseball power ranking on the 22nd. At #1, he is Texas, #2, LSU, and then he has A&M at #3.
Cool. Thanks, Chris. All right, let's do this. Let's discuss what we're going to talk about with Aaron Torres. So Aaron Torres, he loves college basketball. So we're going to talk about buckyball with him on the other side because I'm really excited about these additions. Duke Miles is going to be awesome for this program. I really feel very good about what he's going to look like with Bucky leading the pack. But they still got a long way to go to keep adding to that roster. We'll talk to him about that. I'll also bring up the commentary that we had to start off the show about these teams in the SEC. Like if the SEC is going to get 4 teams in the playoffs. And again, I've already said that I'm not predicting A&M to make the playoffs. I would like to see them in the conversation like they were this past year with some tackling, and we'll see where things end up. But if you go through that and you look at all the teams and show me a graphic, Kate, of all the teams, and I'll just point at one and I'll start talking about it because like South Carolina, like standings from 24, I don't care, whatever you have. When you look at South Carolina, you got the questions. You look at Tennessee and the quarterback questions there. You look at Texas, you look at that. Like, so Texas, start off there. I think ours is going to be great. I do. But it is still a question. Georgia, Gunnar Stockton, that's a question. Tennessee, don't know about their situation. That's a question. Alabama, Ty Simpson could be really good, might fit the system better. Should be a question. They're very happy with Lenore Sellers at South Carolina. We're happy with Marcel Reed. And you go down, LSU's happy. Ole Miss got a question. Missouri got a question. Florida, they like DJ Lagway. Who wouldn't like him, right? So they're happy there. Arkansas, Taylor Green. Vandy, very happy with their situation in Diego Pavia. Oklahoma and down, right? So you look at all these teams, but the ones that are expected to compete for a playoff spot, they've all got questions, if not quarterbacks somewhere else. Like, I'm not saying I have a lot of questions about the Texas quarterback situation with Arch Manning. I have some because I haven't seen him play against significant SEC talent he hasn't been the guy. Once we see it, we'll be able to evaluate, right? Gunnar Stockton, very limited sample size. Tennessee, like, we don't even know if the transfer from, is it Alvarado? Why am I not remembering his name? The transfer from UCLA, if he's going to be great. Like, does he fit? Is he better than Nico? Is he worse than Nico? Nico wasn't that good. So you go down, Ty Simpson, is he going to be able to live up to what the expectations are? They all have questions. So when we talk about 4 teams making the playoffs, and there's no guarantee it'll be 4, but if there are 4, you still got a lot of questions. Not as many up top, I recognize that, but it's worth conversation. Let's talk a little Bird Dog, shall we? If you're a landowner, Bird Dog is more than just hunting. You may know them as the premier Airbnb for the hunting experience. That platform is fantastic. They're Aggie-owned, and they connect hunters with premium properties. But they've expanded their services to become your complete ranch optimization partner. So if you're a landowner, you can basically think that you might some of them are getting an additional $100 to $500 per acre of land on their specialized tax services and beyond the ag and the wildlife exemptions, right? So they identify those benefits and they'll make sure that you're getting paid for them. So if you're running cattle, if you're managing farmland, if you're maintaining hunting property, working with ranch brokers on sale, they got you. And remember, the website is easy, birddogit.com. That is birddogit.com. Do me a favor, check them out. When I hear this song, I think of Aaron Torres. Welcome back to TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Let's go to Around College Athletics, brought to you by Milliken Reserve, a College Station community featuring homes, trails, farms, and wide open spaces, and a mission to build a healthy community around nature. Take part in the Milliken Reserve community with a Conservancy membership. Learn more at millikenreserve.com. And with that, we go to the Buppy's Catering Hotline. We're joined by Aaron Torres. AT, ¿cómo estás?
Todo bien. Let me ask you. I saw you had Coach Earley on the show before me. Still, dipping my toe in the college baseball waters, but heard there was a lot of hog on the menu last week. Can you confirm that for the Aggies baseball team? Am I accurate in that?
You were accurate that our baseball team has won 3 straight SEC series, 2 of 3 against Tennessee, that was number 1, 2 of 3 against Arkansas, that was number 2, and they swept South Carolina. Now they go to number 1 Texas, and I don't know if you know this, Aaron. That series means a lot for multiple reasons.
I knew the series was coming soon. I didn't know it was. Is it this weekend?
It's tomorrow.
Wow. And you're having Torres on to talk nonsense NFL draft topics?
No, we're talking baseball with you.
Like this?
I expect you to talk about cool. Texas's bullpen issues and if their number 1 ranking is deserve it, if they deserve it. But actually, I do want to ask you this. The fact that you didn't know this game was coming up this weekend, I think is interesting. Do you remember back in June, July, maybe even a part of August, America was talking about this? It wasn't just TexAgs. This was an American topic. Poor Richard Zane got, lambasted. I think I've used that word twice today.
Yep.
All right, for asking a very honest question. And then the old flipperoo and all the stuff and I remember you had some hot sports takes about it. And here we are, and everybody was pointing at this weekend. Here in College Station and in Austin, I know they're pointing at this weekend. Does America care? What say you?
Not enough. I knew there was a series in the middle of the SEC schedule. I knew it was in Austin. I didn't know it was this weekend. So first of all, shame on me being, I don't want to say I'm the face of college baseball in America, but, I'm in the short conversation. This is something that should have been a little bit more on my radar. No, first of all, I do remember the story vividly. I do remember poor Richard Zane getting involved. Listen, I remember every morning for about 3 or 4 straight days having to tune into TexAgs, you and Brawny and Richard breaking it all down for, however many days that was a thing. It was crazy, first of all. And I think it was only crazy because of the manner in which Schloss answered Richard's question. I mean, you're right. It was a national talking point, but only because if you're going to make a move like that, and I'm not saying that you should or shouldn't, there's a right way and a wrong way, but criticizing a reporter for even having the audacity to ask a very straightforward question, which you then, you criticize him in the moment, and then 36 hours later, you're wearing burnt orange and you're doing hook 'em. It was a huge story at the moment, and so I remember how big it was. I remember actually watching a little bit of Schloss's introductory press conference. I think, frankly, he was shocked at how big it got. And now here we are. Now we got to go to Austin and take care of business. I mean, there's no other way to put it. We got to get some dubs this week. And I don't have the full series breakdown yet. I'm still, like I said, I'm still crunching some numbers before I get you what I expect the score to be tomorrow. But safe to say it's a big one.
Well, another thing about this, AT, before we move on to some basketball talk, I think, this series was going to be intriguing no matter what. But let's take a look at how the storylines have kind of evolved from what happened in June, right? Like, not only did they lose to Tennessee in the last game, and then Schloss leaves 24 hours later. Not all that is great, right? But A&M started the season as the number 1 team, and Texas was not expected to be as good as they are. They were expected to be good, but not this good, right? And what happened was Texas A&M fell from grace and they were one of the worst teams in baseball. And in the SEC, they had such a hard start to the season. They fall out of the number 1 rankings, out of the top 25 faster than any team had ever done it. They're out of it. People were like, there's no way that this team's going to be able to make the postseason. Now they're the hottest team in baseball. Texas is the number 1 team in the country. And now that series that we anticipated, maybe kind of reversed of where the roles are, is the same series, except Texas is the number 1 team.
Yeah, let me ask you this, because in all seriousness, I don't follow it as closely. What has been the turnaround for A&M? Because I knew there were struggles, and then I knew you were getting hot, and then I knew how good Arkansas was last week in the statement that was made against Arkansas. So, and I'm not being sarcastic because I just don't know, like what has been the difference, say, from 6 weeks ago to right now?
All right, I'll answer it for you as well as I can. You have a rookie head coach learning how to be a head coach. Okay, and the team wasn't playing good baseball. But the deeper reason is your second best offensive player gets hurt to start the season, right? Maybe your second, and he's out. He played very little. Gavin Grahovic done for the year, okay? So we're talking about a world-class offense losing a top 5 pick in the following year's draft, okay, in Gavin Grahovic. So that's an injury. Caden Sorrell, also in that same kind of vein. Some people say he might be the best prospect. Is playing now, missed the entire first part of the season. Josh Stewart, supposed to be your best reliever, out for the entire season. All right, so you can't, and you have a lot of freshmen playing who weren't expected to play this year. You can't take away that kind of offensive firepower and also pitching depth with a rookie head coach in the SEC without some struggles. And look, that's not the only reason they struggled. They did not play clean baseball to start. But you get Caden Sorrell back, the offense is magically working again. I think that has a lot to do with it.
Okay, very good. Yeah, I'll defer to you on that. I knew they were struggling, like I said, and I knew there was a lot of, angst, honestly. And then I also, like I said, I knew that the team was starting to play better. You referenced South Carolina series. I know I said last week, we actually, I don't want to say we talked about it, but it was mentioned on our Saturday, national show about the big comeback against South Carolina on that Saturday. And then I knew that, things went really well from against Arkansas last week. So I was just curious what had happened, how it had happened, all that good stuff. I don't think my Huskies are doing well this year, which is disappointing. I thought this was the year for Omaha. Another conversation for another day. It's okay.
All right, well, let's move on. I want to talk Buckyball with you for a moment. Duke Miles, the newest addition to Texas A&M. I think, slowly, Bucky's putting together an impressive squad, but he's got a long way to go. He's got, 6 players on the roster. But, I mean, with Mbako and the additions that we've seen over the last couple of days, and Duke Miles, I feel Ja'Cory Lane, another one. I feel like he's putting together a really nice offensive team. He's got a ways to go, but a great start.
Yeah, and I know this is what we talked about when he got the job, was he even referenced, hey, everybody else has a 3, 4, 5 week start to us on the portal. And I think maybe what I didn't factor in, because I remember saying, hey, look, Mark Pope didn't get the Kentucky job till, April 13th of last year and was able to put together a good team, is the portal closing a week earlier is I think everything – or I think it was actually 2 weeks earlier it was about 10 days earlier, whatever, is that I think everything just moved much quicker this cycle. And I think part of it was the House settlement and it's what Bucky talked about with you, and it's what, you and I talked about a few days after that. But yeah, no, I have confidence. And the thing too is that, yeah, if he had to take that, not had to, but if he takes that job, does everybody wish that he could have gotten it 2 weeks earlier and really had a better shot at some of the guys in the portal? Yeah, of course. But the counter to that is that, and this was David why I was so adamant when the job opened up, hey, you don't have to go get the biggest name, but get a guy that is comfortable in the current climate of college basketball. And I think that, I was thinking of a guy like Bucky McMillan, where it's like, yeah, it's the NIL stuff, it's this, that. But remember, Bucky McMillan had an NCAA tournament team last year, 2 seasons ago at Stanford, and then basically had to completely rebuild it from scratch the year after, because in this world, he lost all of his best players. And so, I don't know if he's done this year over year at Stanford, but over the last couple of years, this has been the part of being a mid-major coach that stinks, is you have a really good season, and then most of your best players transfer up, and you're starting over again. And, it's funny, I was joking with somebody a few days ago. It's like, basically everybody's a JUCO coach now, and a JUCO coach is a guy that rebuilds his roster every single season. And so the reason I'm bringing it up is because even though you wish the pool of players was a little bit deeper, you wish the calendar had aligned where he could have gotten the job a little bit earlier, this isn't something that he is not used to doing every single April. And like you said, I think he's doing a good job so far, and I'm sure there's a couple pieces that we maybe don't know about yet that'll be Aggies before it's all said and done.
Doug and Aaron Torres here on TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. What do you think about the musical chairs we had with Tennessee and UCLA? Joey Aguilar ends up with the Bruins, Nico ends up with UCLA, and what do you think about the shakeout for the rest of college football?
Yeah, I mean, I think to me, I was live on air when Joey Aguilar committed to Tennessee. I think the much more interesting story is, I feel like I'm on in Fayetteville right now. We just talked about baseball. I think it's the Madani Amaliava stuff, and Arkansas maybe being the first school publicly to really put their foot down and say, well, wait a second now, we have compensated you, and you didn't live up to your end of the bargain, and we are going to pursue legal action. It's just funny. I think when the Nico stuff started to bubble up, 2.5 weeks ago, I think there was a thought of this is a turning point in college sports. And I think we all thought, everybody's just going to leverage, every player is going to leverage every school ever, and it's going to be even more chaotic than it's been. I think the Iamaleava family may have brought us, further along in the opposite direction of schools are finally saying enough is enough. Is like, listen, we're taking good care of you. We're compensating you, but there are expectations that come with that. And if you sign a legally binding document, then, you're going to be held to that if you do not meet that. And so, listen, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not an expert on that area of what they can actually recoup, all of that. But like I said, Arkansas is making a stand. I think other schools are going to follow their suit. And I think that's just an interesting turning point in college sports. And I'll just say really quickly, I think the public's on the side of the school. I think for a lot of years it was pro player. The players deserve money. And we all agree that they do. But I think everybody's now realizing that when you sign essentially a professional contract, there are expectations that come with it. And so I'll be fascinated, again, as somebody who's not a lawyer, who doesn't understand all the legalese of this, of how the Madani Amaliava situation plays out and just what it all means for the broader scope of college sports.
Hey, AT, before we close, let's talk about tonight's draft. And just when you talk about best pros in this draft, just from what you've seen in college, not that I know you're not an NFL draft expert, but just who do you think has the better pro career, Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward?
I think maybe my big take is I think Shedeur, listen, David, and I'll be curious, you work in the same profession I do, is I think the NFL draft is the only place where we take single-sourced items and use them as like news narratives, right? Like when Billy Lucci is about to break that Bucky McMillan is going to be the Texas A&M head coach, he doesn't have one source. It's not, a booster tells me Bucky McMillan has taken the lead. It's like, no, he's talked to 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 people that are all confirming the same piece of information. So I just find it interesting how in the NFL draft we decide, one scout says Shedeur is a second-round pick, so that means that he is. And it's like, no, I think he's going to be a really good pro. And so, you asked me specifically about the two. I'll maybe be a little bit counter whatever. I think it's going to be Shedeur. I mean, he played behind not a great O-line. He played in a pro system. There were certain things that were built around him, but I think there's some bad habits that he's got to get out of. I think he holds onto the ball too long, tries to make too many plays sometimes. But I just saw an elite talent every time he took the field. And I think for some reason, whether it's NIL, whether it's some of the celebrations, whether it's the fact that he comes from money, I don't know what it is. But it feels like there are a lot of people that don't want him to succeed. And like you said, I do watch all the games, and I'm just going based off of what I saw on the field, and I saw a really good quarterback, and I expect him to be much the same in the NFL.
AT, great stuff, brother. Thanks so much for your time.
Covered a lot of ground in like 12 minutes. So thank you, David. Good luck this weekend to the boys. Can't wait to hear the reaction on Monday when you guys go to Austin and sweep them. So I'm excited.
That would be so fantastic. Thank you, AT. Talk to you later, buddy.
All right. Bye.
Yeah, that would be like, I was going to use a word I can't use. Euphoric, maybe. It would just be great. Okay. I would just be very happy. I'll leave it at that. All right. Let's talk Heritage Films. It's a company that preserves family stories, right? So if you love your life, Heritage Films is the thing for you. You love your parents' life, your family ranch's life, whatever it may be, you need to reach out to Chance McClain and his team there. They aren't just making documentaries, they're capturing journeys of dads, granddads, mothers, the struggles, the everything, right? The entire story, the entire process, an entire family's legacy in a professional, cinematic way. There aren't just random videos. These are like HBO, Netflix quality videos that are documented as 2 hours long. Call Chance up at 713-893-8341 or check out the website, yourheritagefilm.com. Again, 713-893-8341 or yourheritagefilm.com. This isn't just a service. It's a time machine for your family's most precious memories. It's Heritage Films. TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. Got Gerrod Chadwell coming in studio here in about a minute and a half. As we mentioned earlier, A&M women's golf will be heading to Lubbock as the fourth seed there. Actually, they're the fourth seed overall, but Texas is there. They're there. Kate, who is the other team that's there with them? I know Texas is the one, but who else is there?
I believe it was Tennessee. Let me go check again.
Okay. So we'll talk to Gerrod Chadwell about that. Before we hit a break, let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Caitlin Torniak, tell me something good.
The Texas A&M women's tennis team pulled in a couple of SEC awards on Wednesday. Mark Weaver was named SEC Co-Coach of the Year, and then 4 Aggies earned all SEC recognition. Mary Stoania and Nicole Kieran were named all SEC first team, while Mia Cuprez and Luciana Perez earned second team distinctions.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Classic Collision. If your car was hit by the recent hailstorm, don't trust an out-of-town pop-up tent with your car. Trust a locally owned and operated business, and that is Classic Collision and Restoration, who specialize in paintless dent repair for that hail damage. Those out-of-town pop-up tents will be gone soon, so who's going to stand behind their work if your paint starts to chip or trim starts to fall off? Let it be Classic Collision, because they're going to take care of you and your insurance claim for your hail damage repair. Keep your business local. They've been around for over 25 years, and countless customers have trusted them with all the awesome work that they do. Top quality auto repair shop is Classic Collision and Restoration. Don't just get your car fixed, get it restored with Classic Collision and Restoration. They're Aggie owned and operated. Doug Leopold is part of that class of 1993. Call them up, 979-779-8399, or online at classiccollisionrestoration.com. That's classiccollisionandrestoration.com. Here on TexAgs Live. God bless. Is my mic on? I do that thing where I act very unprofessional. TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. My buddy Gerrod Chadwell's in studio.
It's the rookie hour.
What's up, buddy?
What's happening, man?
So let me tell you about the last 24 hours. So twice the mic has been off starting a segment.
You started this with me last time.
I think so. Yeah, that sounds familiar. Because I don't like to go to the bathroom and leave the mic on. I don't want people to hear me wash my hands. Right? God forbid something else. Right? And then yesterday, did you guys drive in traffic yesterday? Yesterday, 6, it took me 40 minutes from our neighborhood to get here. There was an accident on 6.
Why do you go that way?
So I take that way to drop off my boys at school.
Yep.
Yep.
Well, traffic was bad. Dad was late to school yesterday because of traffic and an accident too.
Yeah. See? So yeah, hey, this is just my first week on the job. Anywho, women's golf, they're going as the 4 seed to Lubbock. 4th consecutive year as a top 4 seed. Let's just talk about all the good work that put you in this position.
Yeah, I think it's really no different than any sport. It's the body of work that gets you to selection show yesterday. So, I think we've had a lot of growth with the young ladies this semester. And so just excited to watch them take on this experience. And we get to go to Lubbock, which is, we were just sharing, it's same time zone, same grass, a van trip. So really excited about that and not having to hop on a plane and go somewhere different.
And look, when you can only control X amount of things, it is nice to know, like, hey, it's far for Texas standards, but it's Texas. We know the teams that are going to be there. We know what we can do. We know the environment. We can control that.
Yeah, and that's the X is very small in what you can control. I think, look, we've seen our this year, our good golf is good enough. And so you just got to go know that it's a 3-round deal. It's not a shootout for 18 holes, and that our good golf's good enough. So we don't have to be anybody that we're not. So I'm excited for them. I'm excited that we still have a full week to prepare, and finals are in the midst of that. So we kind of help. What we can control is we're just managing schedules and all that stuff to make sure they're totally prepared when we leave.
Remind the audience what it takes to advance from there.
Yeah, so now the one thing that's new that the men's golf has had for a long time, one thing that was new for us this year is the 500 rule. So your wins and losses for the year have to be above 50%. We had some good programs that weren't. Clemson, Kentucky, Alabama, they weren't eligible for postseason, and really good programs, really good teams. So first and foremost, you have to be above 500. Secondly, it's a ranking throughout the year. And they use the word magic number. I think our magic number was somewhere in the top 50, let's just say 55 teams in the country in the rankings got selected. And then you have your AQs, your automatic qualifiers for winning your conference championship. So you have some upsets, and that steals a bid. But you have some, I think there was, I don't know if you looked at it, I think there's 12 teams, 12 out of 16 teams in the SEC made the NCAA postseason. So that's pretty stout.
That is stout. When you think about it, and I talked about it earlier on this show today, every sport at Texas A&M that is involved in SEC sports, you're going to have 9 to 12 teams, 13 teams making the postseason.
Yeah, we were was talking to somebody about this morning after dropped my daughter off, was that it's the SEC championship is similar to a national championship for us. And even told the girls that sometime that was their first experience to go to the conference championship. But you go to a regional championship and it looks like a normal tournament for us. We're talking about the guys. The guys played great yesterday, and you look and you see Texas and Vanderbilt in last and next to last. And those are teams that will have a chance to win a national championship. So it's just, you can't have a bad round. You can't have a bad day in an SEC championship and expect to advance.
So a couple of teams that are going to be there, Texas, Wake Forest, Arizona, and others. So talk to me about the field.
I think, Texas, when I saw Texas go up, I thought we would go with them based on the rankings. I don't think there's anybody that we haven't went toe-to-toe with this year. I'm really excited to see Giovanna, our former assistant here at Arizona. I don't get to see her very often this year. But really, there's only 12 teams, and, finishing top 5 is something that's definitely doable. And 1 through 5, it doesn't matter. So that's what we're trying to go there and get, is finish top 5. And you really don't. People ask that, what do you think? It's like, well, we don't play defense on anybody. We just got to go take care of ourselves and make sure we're the best version of ourselves, and we'll be just fine.
I know how close you are with her. How's that year gone for her?
I think really well. I think they had a really good fall. I think they had their moments this spring, but won the Big 12 championship in a playoff, which is just an amazing experience to be able to do that, but also propel you into postseason. We don't get to talk as much as I would like to. I think the fun thing was we had some time in December. She was like, man, now I totally understand everything you went through, and I saw your struggles, and like, I don't have the same struggles, but now I do. So, I'm just a phone call away for her or anything that she would ever need, but she's doing amazing, just as anybody else would think she would.
So, what do you know about this course? Is it the Rawls course?
Rawls course, Lubbock, you can expect some wind, which is good. I think it's, I think we've had a pretty windy spring here, so we've had some reps in that. Pretty flat, linksy. It's just about everything that you would expect. You got to dodge some tumbleweeds here and there, but we'll take off Friday. We'll get to prepare on Saturday and Sunday, and then let it rip next Monday, a week from this Monday.
For me, Kata still feels like in my head, I think of her as a young player, but she's like a veteran now, right?
It's crazy. And I don't know if it's because we've had her, I had her sister for the past 3 years, but it does seem like she's a lot older than just a sophomore. We were both on the chiropractic table on Monday, and I said, man, I don't know if we're rubbing off on you or I'm rubbing off on you, but are you getting a little old? And we laughed about that, but she's playing amazingly, growing into a leader. I think we talked about last time on the show, she was a freshman with a very veteran group. And so she got to learn good and bad from them. And she's just been a kind of a quiet presence for us. That's been really nice that we know that we can depend on her.
Even though she's a sophomore, at this point, it's like she's a junior, right? Because all the golf she's played.
In some ways, feeling senior. Look, this young lady came in number 2 ranked player in the world.
Right.
So she not only has, she has a lot of golf experience at a very, very high level. But yeah, the golf doesn't seem to phase her. It's just helping her manage the day-to-day is really something. You got to think this young lady's very, very far from home. And so that's what I feel like we have served her best, is just how to manage all this so that she can just go play freely and enjoy what she's doing.
Another young player, a little bit younger, Vanessa.
Vanessa, I was with her on Tuesday over in Houston. She had, based on her win in Houston, she had earned a Pro-Am spot in the Chevron Championship that's happening in the Woodlands right now, and she looks like a Tour pro.
Does she?
Just has the build, the confidence, but she's still. It's crazy to see there's still room for growth in there too. But yeah, she's been. You could argue 1A, 1B with her and Kata this year, but it's been nice to be able to depend on her when it's freshmen, as you said. They go back and forth, but it's just been really nice to see that she's really not a freshman anymore. But you pair those and the other young ladies that have been really good for us this year with the group that we come in next year. It's just an exciting time to be around our program.
You mentioned a moment ago, earlier in the interview, that it was good for some of these girls to be in the SEC championships.
Absolutely.
Especially for the younger ones, to experience that environment, that level of competition, and then now for it to translate for the next part.
I think, the thing, it's just that, and then we can parlay that into coaching moments at home, on the road. It makes our practice better. It makes the conversations better, because that's what you're preparing to be able to execute shots and be comfortable in. That experience will help us at the NCAA Regional. That'll help us at the National Championship, because these young ladies were behind the girls that took up all those reps. And so, for them to hear stories about it, but now to get to experience it firsthand should make today better. It should make the summer better, and it should make anything going better that you've experienced hard.
The SEC championships overall, though, just grueling experience. What's it like?
It's we had one bad round and we finished 10th. You just can't afford that. Like, your bad round can't be that bad. We didn't have a good finish to the second day. The second day we were battling. We fought all the way up to third, and then just didn't finish it off. And I felt like that carried over into the last day. And then when we didn't get off to a good start, it wasn't panic. It was just uncomfortable. But it was no different than the second or first round. But it's just as you're getting close to that, that match play line, it feels different, and it's just crazy that now. You don't want to be cheesy and say it means more, but it's different being around all those bags. The environment, the arena you're in, and each shot has a little bit more importance than it did in October or February. So the first year we were here, we finished 9th, I think, and we're in a semifinal for a national championship. So I just think those experiences propel you through all this stuff. And so, yeah, it's disappointing, but I know there's still good golf in front of us.
Well, I don't have the numbers in front of me. I was looking at it. I think like teams 5 through 10 were like so close
So it's
to each
so
other.
tight. The margin of error is crazy. It really, really is. And then you get into match play and anything happens. So it's just, you know, for that group, you know, if it's look, hey, we're just trying to get in, make it 8, well, you're going to find yourself just trying to get in. I think what we have learned, if you're going there to try and get, you know, the 1 seed or 2 seed, you're going to find yourself up there and have cushion should something happen. And just with we had a little sloppiness on the first day and our bad finish on the second day erased any cushion we could have to get inside that top 8. And so just a learning lesson, and we haven't changed what we're working on. It just makes it more of a priority and more important when we're at home.
What does this week look like?
You know, spring is crazy. You know, yet Wednesday was a big day. We have our fundraiser tomorrow at Traditions Golf Club. If anybody wants to come out and meet the team and play, there's still time to sign up through our website, Aggie Women's Golf Club. We'll have, you know, close to 140 people that help us raise money for our team, get to play around at Traditions. The girls will be there, steak dinner at the end, and hopefully go down to the pool at Traditions and watch the baseball team beat the hell out of Texas. Will be a good day tomorrow.
Yeah.
Then they get to catch their breath on the weekend, and next week is just preparing and trying to get them through finals and putting the finishing touches on the fundraiser, and then we have our team banquet. So it's just a lot of stuff crammed into the spring that are all great things, but it's just flying by.
The synergy that I think our athletic department has. I mean, you're talking about baseball, and I know you're paying attention to softball. They're paying attention to you guys.
Yep.
Does it feel, and maybe it's just an outsider's perspective, but it's like this group really gets along.
It does, and you know, this time of year is hard for me because I'm a baseball guy. Now with the daughter, really have enjoyed going to Trish's games and watching them compete. I think I might have used it. There's a difference between interested and invested, and I think we've got a lot of coaches here, and Mike being at the top, that are invested in every program doing well. And so I think that's a culture that's an honor to be a part of because it's not everywhere. And I think at the end of the day, we're all fans. Like we all love sports. So anything we can do to show up at a ballpark or help a team out on a visit, I think everybody's all in for.
Do you feel good where you are right now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's, you know, it's just it's a different feeling because of, you know, what we got to maybe take for granted the past few years. Like we've talked about experiences, all those experiences we went through year 1, year 2, and 3, they left.
Yeah.
You know, and so now it's this group's turn to get all these experiences. And nobody's saying the 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th team can't go to the national championship. So I think we're learning how to view ourselves as we belong. And so we just go play good golf and the rest takes care of itself.
Are there any similarities between this year's build? And I know that first year was an amazing run, but like just
in year 1?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
You know, it was different in a sense. I think we had 11 with the loss of Adela and a young lady who just moved towards graduation. We only have 6. So the thing that we have tried to be really intentional about is competition.
Yeah.
Because when we got here with the 11, we qualified. It's just how we do to determine who travels. We qualified literally every week. And our lineup changed for the first 8 or 9 events out of the year. And then we finally started just those 5 started to separate themselves. And, you know, you get to the SECs and we didn't play well, but then we kept going with that bunch and they go to regionals and you know, we beat some really good teams there, and then we go to the national championship and just turn it loose because it's everybody's last week. So I think there's a lot of similarities because a lot of people hadn't played. We had transfers in with that bunch, but I think there's a lot of similarities to year 1.
I probably shouldn't ask you this, but I'm going to ask you. You can give me a dirty look.
No.
Paying attention to what's happening with Judge Wilkins and like because it affects you guys.
Yeah, it's
very hard right now.
Gosh, God bless that lady. You know, it was supposed to be decided, will be 3 weeks ago this Monday. Yeah. And look, it's the landscape of college athletics is changing. And we know it's going to change, but we just need the final stamp so we can move forward.
Yeah.
And I think the hard thing is for us, being in charge of these young ladies' paths, this decision dramatically affects some of them. And you just want to provide these athletes with the best situation possible.
Yep.
And we're still waiting on that. and time is ticking, and graduation is happening, and seasons are ending. It's just if you said, "Hey, G, they're going to get it right," I would take as long as you need to.
Yeah.
I think with the way things have happened, are we getting it right? Because it's with some of these decisions that we're having to make, you just don't turn back from.
Right.
And so I think that's the frustrating part for me is when we recruit these young ladies, we tell them it's not a 4-year decision, it's a 40-year decision. And what's happening is we're impacting those decisions.
Yeah.
So I think that's the thing is being in it for hopefully the right reason. That's the frustrating part with what's going on in the House case.
Good luck this week.
Thank you, brother.
Or next week. Thank you.
Diego.
Good luck every week. And go support tomorrow, the fundraiser.
You got it.
What are the specifics again?
You go to 12thman.com, Aggie Women's Golf Club. You can sign up there to get a spot to play. If you have a foursome that you want to bring, even merrier. But if it's just an individual, we'll find a place for you to play. And it's an awesome day. A lot of fun.
Go support that, please. All right, we'll hit a break here. We'll come back, talk a little Aggie Coaches Night. But before that, let's talk Twin Liquors. All right, they have introduced their Double Up BOGO wine sale at Twin Liquors. Buy one bottle of wine, get an identical bottle for $2. The sale is available only in-store and on select wines. You can shop now through the end of the month. It ends on April the 30th. Perfect opportunity to stock up for whatever big celebration you are planning to have here this month and beyond. Double up and save. Spring's in full swing, so go to the events, at Twin. Visit twinliquors.com/events to find the full list of events happening this month. Again, it's a Double Up BOGO wine sale at Twin Liquors. Buy one bottle of wine and get the identical bottle for $2. We're back on TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. Big softball series. We've got a big baseball series. We've got women's tennis, men's golf, you name it. Everything's going on. We got so many great events, but we also have one coming up on Wednesday, May 21st. It is the Brazos County A&M Club's Coaches Night, and looking forward to talking about that with David Bako. Hello, sir.
Howdy.
And we've got Pam Hill, who's the silent auction co-chair.
That's correct.
How are you?
We're great.
Yeah?
We're excited.
So let's talk about it. David, you and I were speaking beforehand, the biggest event that you guys put together of the year.
It is. The Brazos County A&M Club, we put on several events per year. We just got finished with our muster celebration. The purpose of our club is to keep Aggies connected to our core values and to do service around the community. But more than anything else, to give back to the university that gave us so much. And so Coaches Night is about showcasing what athletics are doing, but its purpose is really to raise funds that go back as scholarships, academic scholarships, and Aggie Ring scholarships for veterans.
And I think also you get buy-in from across the street, like the athletic department is all in.
We could not do this without their support.
Yeah. Talk a little bit about having Coach Elko there and what that means.
Well, it was very exciting to have him as our keynote speaker last year. We were looking forward to hearing what he has to say again this year. But in addition, we invite as many coaches from athletics that can attend, and because the opportunity to hear what they have to say, to talk about their visions for our athletes and for our program.
I saw you working Gerrod Chadwell earlier. Hopefully he'll be able to be there, the women's golf coach. Pam, I know that there's ways that people can be involved, not only in attendance, but there's sponsorship opportunities as well.
There are. You can get sponsorship tables. We have different levels, $1,500, $25,000, or $5,000 for tables of 10. Along with that comes some fabulous perks besides just being there that night. Also, individual tickets will go on sale today. They can go to our website, bcamc.org, to the Coaches Night. We have a live auction. We're having a silent auction. All of those things will be put on that website shortly. It's going to be bigger and better this year. We're kind of trying to amp it up and get everybody excited. So we're going to have new games to get the crowd more involved. We're going to have hopefully more and more of the coaches. And the coach was very gracious to say he would do anything he could as long as he could be here that night. So we're going to work that. And you could have individual tickets, like I said, tables. It's just going to be really exciting. We have new sponsors on our silent auctions. We have new sponsors for the evening, Lucchese Boots, Aggieland Chevrolet. Of course, CC Creations is our biggest partner doing this with us. Aggieland Chevrolet, I think I said that. And it's David Gardner's is one of ours. They're doing a new game with us this year. We're going to kind of keep that quiet for a minute till more things come out. But actual get on your feet and get the crowd involved, and a big production.
So
we're going all out.
Can you both enjoy it, or you like working? Like, is it? Because there's a lot of work leading up to it. Can you enjoy it when you get there?
Oh, I enjoy every event.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it takes a lot of work, and Pam and the individuals on our Coaches Night committee have been working tirelessly for almost 6 months now to put this on. We start planning this literally the day after the last Coaches Night.
Is that right?
Yes.
So for somebody who hasn't been, Pam, give like you've gave the fun part, but kind of give us a feel for what it's like to be in attendance.
When you're walked in, you'll be greeted by our lovely volunteers that want you to come. You register everything online on the website. Everything is done, the bidding and everything. So you can start silent auction items and all. There's going to be a great meal. There's a cocktail hour. There's a VIP section where you can visit with the coaches ahead of time. You can, in the coaches area, you can have a great meal, like I said. Last year we had the Yell Leaders there. We had different members just helping with everything, walking around. A great social way. We're hoping to have upwards of 800 people to meet all of your Aggies in the area. Lots of new graduates that have joined our club that stayed in the area, and ways for to meet them. And a lot of retirees have come back, including myself, that have come here to live where the motherland is, if you want to come back where you started. And it's just a great, great team effort between the sports teams, the auction committees, all of the Aggies in the area, and it's just going to be a lot of fun.
So remind folks how they can be a part of it.
bcamc.org. You can get individual tickets. You can get tables. We would love to have companies come and bring employees, tables of 10, different levels of sponsorships. With each of those, you get different things, and those are starting to rack up. quickly. Like I said, our new sponsors that are coming in, besides CC Creations, who's been great, Lucchese Boots is doing some wonderful things, all still under fine-tuning, we'll say, and will all come out shortly. But
when you go to our website, you want to hit the link for Coaches Night at the top. And that'll take you to our special Coaches Night site.
Pam, David, thank you so much for coming in. I appreciate it.
Great.
Yeah, we look forward to being there on May the 21st. It's a Wednesday night. All right, we'll hit a break. We'll come back with a fan show. But before that, your car wash tradition with the friendliest dash and the personal touch is Aggie Land Express Car Wash. They got two great locations, the William D. Fitch one, which is the original there in South College Station. The newest location, 2528 South Texas Avenue, across from the Planet Fitness. They both offer all the wash options that you want, but the Texas Avenue location is the one that offers the full service, right? They got 3 levels of full service, and we're going to give one away. The first caller at 979-693-1150, we're going to give you a free Aggie Land Express car wash from the Texas Avenue location. That's a $40 value. 979-693-1150. It is Aggie Land Express Car Wash. Hey friends, TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studios. Time for the
Fan Show.
Hey, Fan Show guys, we're going to ask you what's on your mind in a minute. Caitlin will do that. But what's on my mind is I should have predicted, and tomorrow will be worse, the influx of Austin Community College fans coming on the YouTube page. Look, there's
Austin Community College alums.
So, well, are they? Nowhere does it say they finished. Here's my thing. I understand trash talk.
Former students?
Yeah, well, I mean, they applied. Okay, I can say that. They've applied. I can understand a little trash talking. But going out of your way to like, you're behind it. Like, just come on, guy. And then I'm going to Google you. I'm going to look everything about you. I'm going to know everything. It's just how it works. So, look, welcome to the show. You help our algorithm. You help our NIL. Thank you very much for that. Just keep it respectful. Be classy. That's all I'm saying.
The gotcha guys.
Yeah, I got Rick Lozano, who's a Texas fan, who sends me very nice messages about the show and about Texas. He's a diehard. Like, there's great ones out there, right? I'll just ask you to have class. That's it. Because if you don't, I won't either. And look, I am not above being a bad person. I'm not above it.
I like it.
Hey,
Especially
Nuño get a little petty sometimes. It's cool.
Sometimes, all the time. Yeah. Every day I'm petty. I play Tom Petty on the way back.
I love it.
Anyway, why am I making so much noise with the papers?
I love it, man. Hey, Nuño's fired up today. You got to love hate week.
I haven't talked about grappling in a while because I know that there's some Texas fans that think that I want to fight everybody. I don't want to fight anybody. There's no fighting.
I think
I would.
Hey, I think you do kind of want to fight somebody.
No, I really don't because
I think you want to put your skills to the test.
But then if it didn't work, that would be a disaster. Well, I mean, look at my kids.
I mean, hey, you got to pick and choose your opponents, right? I mean,
100%.
There's really only two outcomes, and both of them are bad.
Yeah, I'm not going to win. So no, I don't. I would actually like to have a water with you and just talk, and find out if you're actually a nice person or not. That's it.
I think he wants to put jiu-jitsu on somebody.
If you touch me, the arm will be broken. That's a fact. But you're not going to do that. So, Caitlin, you're allowed to ask me a question. I'm sorry, I made it sound like I'm the king. Caitlin, please ask me a question.
All good. So after that, what is on y'all's minds?
I already just told you what was on my mind.
I went first last week. Roy, please take the honors, sir.
Okay, so, first and foremost, what's on my mind, because in the mornings I actually like to throw it on the CW, I throw it up on TV to watch the show.
Thank you.
I appreciate your best Yell Boy impersonation with this shirt. It is fantastic.
I got jeans on, though,
We got to
folks.
get you some white pants, and you're going to be good to go.
I'm trying to be you.
It's a good-looking shirt, man.
Thank
it
you,
is.
sir.
Love the pearl snaps. No, I mean, what's on my mind is what's on everybody's mind.
Should I pull a T-bob and rip it off and just...
I think we could probably avoid that, if all possible.
I think the Austin Community College guy would be intimidated. Go ahead.
What's on my mind, and I obviously I'm going to avoid the obvious, right? I'm going to avoid the elephant in the room because everybody's been talking about it. It's something that Coach Chadwell said when I was driving in, and I found it so interesting. And you guys were talking about, just the culture of all the coaches here at A&M currently, and how everybody supports each other. And he said there's a difference between interested and being invested. And if there's not a more Texas A&M statement on the planet, I don't know what is. Because it's easy to be like Austin Community College boy, right? Mm-hmm. He's interested in Texas athletics. He's not invested, right? He's interested. And he wants to talk trash and he wants them to win so he can just kind of be a horse's ass, as much as possible. Aggies have this investment in our university and our sport. It's not just... you can be a football fan or you're not a basketball guy, or you're a baseball guy and you don't like football. It's okay, whatever sport. But we're so invested in the university and the culture of our university. And to hear him talk about the current culture within the circle of coaches we have here at A&M currently, that was it's heartwarming to me as an Aggie. To hear that the coaches obviously when they can, because they all have ridiculous schedule. He was talking about we don't think about it. The women's golf schedule, right? But it's insane right now. It's an insane schedule, and it's tough on the athletes. And there's still got school and finals and banquets and tournaments and this decision looming over everybody's head. But it's to hear that kind of just buy-in from coaches and the culture within our coaching kind of circle is just it's such a great thing to hear. Not just now, not just for the spring, but just as a whole. We see a lot of our coaches at other sports, and they've got a lot of stuff to do. Their recruiting is 24/7, 365, right? And so it's just been I love that statement. There's a difference between interested and invested. So that's kind of it. That was the new thing that popped in my head when I was driving in.
You'll regularly see Elko at basketball or baseball, and you would see Buzz at at baseball and football and whatnot. So
would you?
I don't think I ever saw Buzz at any sporting events.
I remember seeing Buzz. at baseball.
I didn't.
This was last season. So
Probably won't see him this season.
I don't think we're going to see much of Buzz anymore. Maybe Bucky.
Bucky's going to be there.
Bucky's already been there. Bucky's throwing
there.
out first pitches. Even right now, he's on the PR tour, and I get it. But I don't think that stops with him, given the energy and the interviews we've heard, and obviously just.
But everything you said, that's what I want it to be. How you described it. I will like to add.
Oh, I want to win
and win, right?
Well, I want to win
and win. You could be the meanest coach and yell at me, and if you win national championships, I'm like, that guy's great. I love that guy.
Don't get me wrong. I don't want the guy who gets it over the guy who wins trophies.
Yeah.
Like, he gets A&M. Well, great, and he's going to get out of here in 4 years, And so, but it's still great to hear that culture and the support that they have kind of in between all the coaches.
How about this? Let me add this, and I know we still got to get to what's on your mind. But
yeah, you guys are on a roll. Go for it.
But patience, right? Because you can go around like, we should have had more patience. I'm talking about the fan base with Coach Earley initially, right? Patience with Coach Elko. Texas, I don't know how much patience they had with Sark initially, but the first couple years were interesting. They went 12-12 in their first 2 years, 5-7, 7-5, and it's obviously paid off. We live in a hypersensitive sports world, especially at Texas A&M with the way the last year went, that patience is very difficult. But I do think good people deserve patience.
Well, we live in a fast food culture. I want it now. I want it now. No matter what it is, I want it now. And so it's difficult, especially as a sports fan, short for fanatic, right? We are fanatical about these things. And so it's difficult for us to be patient and wait, especially as Aggies. We've been waiting since my dad was waiting and since his dad was waiting. So there's a balance in there.
Yeah, and that for Coach Earley, I think a part of it that was a little unfortunate for him is the fact that you've got, in our eyes as fans, a small window because you've got Jace is going to this is his last season. You've got, we've only got Sorrell and Gavin for, we're going to lose a lot of guys. So you're like, okay, this is the team. This team right here. They were in the championship last year. Now we've got a good chunk of those guys back. This is our chance. And to start slow, so I think that adds to it. Bronny was talking about out in the hallway. He was talking about how Vitello, when he got to Tennessee, he said no one cared. He said, I was able to screw up my first year a lot because no one cared. But for Coach Earley, it's different. You're coming off of a national championship game. You've got a loaded roster, and you come in, and then we struggle. And so that, I think, added to it, unfortunately, for him.
A couple things about that. I think Coach McMillan, Buckyball, he's going to have a little bit more grace starting the season than Coach Earley had because people, I think, recognize that the roster it's not the same team that went to three straight NCAA tournaments. It's a completely new rebuild. Doesn't mean that they're going to give a lot of grace, but I'm saying there is going to be a little bit more grace.
Correct.
Coach Earley brought back a huge portion of his team, but then it was unfairly, I think, the product on the field was bad, right? Early on, there's no doubt, for lack of a better word. But it is unfair to think that to get the same production when some of your team went pro and the studs weren't there to start the season. No Sorrell, Gavin Grohovic, Josh Stewart. And you have freshmen out there that you didn't expect and new players. So yes, we brought the core nucleus back, but it was also not the same team.
Yeah, and you take into account the fact that we had some injuries and all that. And I'm sure Coach Earley will admit to you he's made mistakes as well. He is a rookie head coach, so he's made mistakes in there as well. But the ship is starting to get righted, which is good.
It's not apples to apples, though, right? Because we understand there were injuries in baseball, but it was the expectation of it, really. Because literally, we lost a 3-game series by 1 run, right? And you had, not everybody coming back, but you felt like you pretty much had everybody you needed coming back, right? In basketball, and I get that we went 3 straight tourneys, there is fatigue in that basketball fan base because when did we get to the second weekend? He left, and I got to be honest, nobody was really that mad about it. You were like, man, that kind of sucks. Oh, well, because it felt like he'd hit his ceiling here, whereas the ceiling for this baseball team felt like hoisting a trophy.
Right.
At no point during Buzz's tenure did we feel like we were going to win it all. You're out of your mind if you thought that. Yeah. But he left a lot to be desired, whereas in baseball, they reached the mountaintop.
By the way, I did not believe, I kind of thought they would lose in the second round, but I did allow my mind to drift. Like, if everything works out right, they could be a Final Four team. And 2 years in a row, I was like, look, they could have beat Houston. Look what it's going to look like. But no, I did not think they were going to hoist the trophy.
Right, but in baseball, we were that close from doing it, you know?
And in basketball, it's that. I mean, yeah, he's exactly right. We never, at no point did we ever go into the season going, this team could win the national championship.
Oh yeah,
that never happened. So I'm with Roy on this one.
Hey,
so.
by the way, what's on your mind, buddy?
Oh, what's on my mind?
Oh boy,
hate week again.
Oh boy,
because we hate these numb nuts, and so especially this week, especially going on the road to
Do people still hate the baseball program, their baseball program, like they did in June?
Yeah.
If for some reason it's worn off, it will be reignited in about 30 hours.
Yeah, it's not. Of course we still we hate everything about them. They hate the smugness, the absolute ridiculous amount of we're Texas. Oh, we're Texas. That kind of nonsense. So that number one. But this week was less about. Actually, it's kind of funny. It's less about the school and more about that one guy. And just beating him something, please. I mean, we said here last week, we said, all right, if we can win 2 out of 3 at Arkansas, we could win that series. You go, that would be awesome, right? And here we go into this one, and if you ask anyone who knows college baseball, no, I don't think anyone would be surprised if we go in there and win this series. I mean, this.
Not right now.
Yeah, I mean, they know what our team, what kind of talent we have, and the talent level. And I mean, I think probably overall, from a talent standpoint, we probably have more talent than Texas does overall. I mean, I think top end talent for sure with Caden and with Jace and some of the other guys. And so going in there and winning this series is, and especially the way we're playing right now, we're playing loose, we're playing free, we're playing good baseball. They look like they're having fun again. The Masters jacket, the putting, all that stuff, they're having a blast, right? My only concern is the psychological portion of it, right? First, you had the pressure of, hey, we're playing Texas for the first time as an SEC school in baseball, but Schloss standing over there, and Schloss,
he's a great coach.
He's a good coach, and he knows our team inside and out.
There'll be 2 wieners in the dugout.
But hold on, but I'm gonna flip that because we know him too.
We know him too. That's true,
right? And Michael Earley knows him.
Oh yeah, I'm good.
Knows him real well. You're gonna weave it back.
Yeah,
in.
I'm gonna weave it back. I'm weaving back to the good stuff.
Yeah.
But right now, I got to start with all right, here's what my concerns are.
Sure.
Is the psychological toll, right? It's not, and this is not an analogy towards little brother, big brother, but my older brother and I, we like to compete in a little ping pong from time to time.
Okay.
I'm a far better ping pong player than he is. Ping pong, table tennis, whatever you want to call it, ping pong. So we played it our whole lives. We battle, and I'm a much better ping pong player than he is, right? But he can still beat me from time to time because he gets in here. He's got this little giggle and all this stuff, and he knows how to make me mad, and then he can sometimes beat me. So that's the psychological sometimes goes into it, going, hey, they're going to come out, walk up to the plate, and see Coach standing there. What does that do? Hopefully, it'll add focus, and I think a lot of times it does. All right, we're even more focused. We want this. We want to beat him. We know him. We know his little tricks. We know what they're going to pull. Early knows him.
Yep.
So there's 2 teams that know each other really well. Hopefully, what will happen is the talent will end up just winning out in the end. And so
I'm going to give you this to think about. I want this series more than I've wanted a lot of series. Maybe the most I've wanted a regular season series, right? But the bulk of this team, or a huge portion of this team, played an inning away from a national championship. That's real pressure.
Yeah.
They have faced, all the eyeballs in the country watch it. They're going to face that again this weekend, but it's different stakes. If they can handle that, and I know they didn't win against Tennessee, but I didn't think they were phased in that series at all, I think they'll be fine this weekend.
I hope so. I hope you're right. Again, and I think ultimately we will be. I think ultimately we will be. I've got to throw in one little concern. Obviously,
of course.
Because right now, if we go in there and play like we did against Tennessee, the way we played against Arkansas, the way we played against South Carolina, I think we win the series. It's my only question is when we stand up there and you're standing at the plate and they're looking over and they see him, what does that do to a team that's playing loose? I don't want them to tighten up.
That team in the other dugout is playing really well, right? They're number one for a reason.
Good baseball team.
They got a really good coach, And I think Bronny has been the one on this show that's kind of compared their rise this year to what A&M did in Schloss's first year. They're just getting production from people that I don't know if they expected that level of production.
They got some big swingers over there.
Their ace is out, right? Their ace is out.
That was
I did to reset my thought.
My concern is the focus in this weekend, given how hard it's going to be to not be distracted by the massive rivalry of Columbia and Penn.
I like what I'm seeing on social media on that.
That's one of my favorite things. Is all of a sudden it feels like they're having fun again and they're loose.
Yeah.
And we saw what this team can do when they're like that last year. And it seemed like early in the season when we had a lot of issues, we didn't see a lot of that. And so they're having fun again.
Yep. Let's hit a break here. When we come back on TexAgs Live, I got to talk. It's so funny.
He's laughing at his own jokes.
We're going to swing into the next segment with some maroon and white stuff to talk about, some more baseball. Right now, Caldwell Country Chevrolet, Highway 21 in Caldwell, online, caldwellcountrychevrolet.com. If you're a business owner, you want to take your operation to the next level, they can help you expand your fleet by helping you find the right vehicle for you. They have all the body trucks, or flat service body trucks, flat and heavy. I can't speak English. I can't.
Well, don't give it to Brownie.
Yeah, I know. I can't. It just sometimes when I read copy, it's just like, I'd rather just tell you about Caldwell Country Chevrolet. How about that? That's even better. Because
30-minute drive away, they're going to take care of all your needs.
That's 30 minutes. 15 minutes, the edge of Bryan to the beginnings of Caldwell.
Bryan, yeah.
Yes. And I have to start from the edge. That's where I start the drive. Okay. All right. That's, you ever leave your house, you're on a trip. How far is the drive, Dad? 14 hours? No, it's like 16 hours. No, from when we get to Highway 6, it's 14 hours. You've always got to add that part of it. Anyway, you want a good deal on a business vehicle, they'll take care of it. You want, if you're looking for a vehicle for yourself, they're going to take care of you. It is a 15-minute drive, as I mentioned, from the edge of Bryan to the beginnings of Caldwell. Short conversation away, but you'll see the difference when you step on the lot and do business with the great people at Caldwell Country Chevrolet. Highway 21 in Caldwell. Online, caldwellcountrychevrolet.com. You heard it here on TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio, the fan show with my friends Roy and I don't even know if I said your names. I think we just got right into it today.
You got right into it today.
Yeah.
You fired up.
Fired up Nuño. Yeah, I've got to add my name to it. All right, so spring game.
Still hadn't said it. Roy May, Matt Browning, David Nuño.
Fairly
Here we
sure
are.
I said it. Fairly sure I said it a second ago.
No, you said Roy May, and then you stopped.
I mumbled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all good. You're doing a heck of a job,
Thank
man.
you, sir. I appreciate
Keep
that.
it up.
Anywho, shall we talk about the spring game?
Yeah, but let's
go.
Let's do it.
I'm just going to say spring game, then you talk. Spring game.
Football.
Roy?
Yeah, so watch the spring game.
Didn't watch it.
Obviously, without without a bunch of offensive linemen, a spring game is just really hard to decipher anything. But everybody looks big and strong in NFL. All the cliches come out for spring games because nothing is ever really quite settled. Sure. Especially when you've got defensive line look great, but missing a lot of offensive linemen. I liked some of the coverage I saw. Will Lee. I liked linebacker play. Looked really good.
Yeah.
Looked really good. Liked what I saw about the new ads, Craver and Concepcion. There's connections there. There's not a lot to glean out of a spring game, but it's fun to watch, right? And that's really kind of what it's all about. One, I'm glad nobody ended up hurt, getting carted off. That's the biggest thing. Like, number one priority of the spring game is everybody comes out healthy, right?
Yep.
What was Ryder? Is that his name? Ryder, laid the
Tiger?
wood. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, getting a hit and play football. Tight ends.
It was Herrera who laid the wood on Ryder.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah. Ryder got lit up. Kind of that circus catch in the end zone there was a lot of fun stuff. I like the utilization of the tight ends. What's his name? Quarterback.
Marcel Reed.
No, not Marcel. You schmuck.
Miles O'Neal.
Miles O'Neal.
Yeah.
I thought he showed some real flashes.
He did.
I was really impressed with him. Really, really impressed, quite frankly. But again, you just kind of have to take it all in context. But it was good to see. It was good to see everybody healthy. Again, I was really happy with the new ads in the wide receiver core. And again, like I said, utilization of the tight end. You've got them. Please, for the love of God, use them.
Well, we're at the halfway point, right? We got 4 months till it all gets started.
Right.
So if the offense made a little bit of progress with wide receivers and separation, and it's still an if until we see it. What are our 4 more months going to look like?
Hopefully, an offense that's productive.
Yeah.
That's what we want. We need a productive offense.
Which means you need a healthy running back core. That's it. When our running back core is healthy, you saw it last year. And when they weren't healthy, you saw it last year.
I still maintain that there was 2 things last year. There are multiple things you can point at, right? There's never one thing. But that, to me, was the big ripple effect.
That was, with Le'Veon going down, that's the because I think it's easy to sit there and go, okay, when Le'Veon went down, because that's when we took a turn.
Yep.
And so we can say that, and so hey, I'm gonna lean my hat on that. That was the problem because he was outstanding.
Well, unless we forget, we were also missing Reuben Owens.
Yeah.
So you're talking about 2 levels of depth now.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
No, you're going to get all that back. So I think the running back depth will be key.
Got to drop it right there. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, David.
Tomorrow on the program, Billy Lucci, the baseball bunch for an entire hour, Olin Buchanan for an entire hour, and probably some inappropriate jokes. It's TexAgs Live. We'll see you then.